was wrong. He phoned my doctor out of state, and he had a few choice words for me. How could you effing let this happen? Do you know how dangerous this could have been? If he hadn't gotten an appointment with me this fast, his effing bones would have permanently grown in the wrong place, and he would need another surgery to fix this effing mess. I don't know what kind of effing operation you have over there, but there is zero chance I will ever refer anyone in my clinic to you. Do you hear me? How hard is it to control your effing insurance handlers? Fast forward to my operation to remove my rods, back in that specialist hospital out of state. The liaison was not just terminated. Oh no. The liaison got accused of intentionally trying to endanger the life of a patient, plus lying to the insurance company, plus lying about a doctor's medical assessment for his own benefit. No idea where this last accusation came from. Maybe it was lodged as an additional justification to fire him? I don't quite know all the consequences of his actions. I only could muster up a few details from my doctor. From what my doctor described, the hospital put out a notice to every hospital in the state to not hire this man. Those hospitals apparently also sent out a notice to all the hospitals in their surrounding areas to not hire this man. This ended up resulting in a domino effect that barred him from working in almost every hospital in the country. I wanted him fired. I didn't plan on getting him blacklisted. Nevertheless, I was effing happy, especially after my doctor informed me that there was no lasting damage for the state. Fast forward about 4 years, and I hear through the grapevine that he ended up having to change professions because of the accusations. He ended up doing some waste management job or something. No idea if it's a literal garbage man status or working at a waste management company in a desk job. OP, that was freaking metal. I can't believe you basically broke your own legs to get revenge on someone. That was r/nuclear revenge, and this is r/puppy bloopers. During that time, I would have to turn dog, no. During that time, I would have to turn small enough. Eagle, please. Come on, bud. I gotta work. Hugo, please. He began his inspection, and his dog, will you please? Please. I gotta take the power off. You're jingling like friggin' Santa Claus. Come here. Come here. Come here. You're so cute and annoying, puppy dog. You want me to pull this toy so you can play couple balls with your little one? Pooch. Poochumps. Poochie poodle. Poochumps. Come here. Dog. I literally just have to play with you. This is the only way you leave me alone. Welcome to r/entitled parents, where a mother tries to get total strangers to watch her kids for an evening. Today, I, an 18-year-old male, went to a local outdoor gym. It's a fairly basic setup, a few bars to hang off, some floats to jump onto, and parallel bars. I like to do a workout after university most days. Today was no different. I got into my workout gear and ran from where I'm staying at the moment to the outdoor gym. I was the only one there when I got there, just like normal. Occasionally there will be one other person. After about half an hour, a mother with a few kids came. The kids would be between 3 to 5. They started playing on some of the bars and stuff, as kids do. I was fine with that. I just didn't use those bars in my circuit. While working out, the mother kept looking at me. She would have been mid-20s to 30s. After about 10 minutes, she came over to me and said, "Isn't it a bit weird that you're using a playground like this?" I was confused but responded, this is an outdoor gym. "Well, you should go to a real gym, so I don't have to worry about my kids." This is here for the community. I don't have an issue with kids being here, but I find it kind of rude how you're asking me to leave. "Well, if everyone is allowed here, how about you stop scaring my kids with your presence?" big guy in the playground is scary. What do you mean by that? Well, the way you're here, you probably touch kids. I really don't appreciate you throwing around BS like that. Wow, now you're swearing. Absolutely disgusting. My kids don't need to hear this. She then left with all her kids. OP, you should have just looked at her kids and been like, nah, your kids are too old for me. Not my type. Our next Reddit post is from Ratitude. I took my kid, a 7-year-old girl, to an animal sanctuary. They announced they would be feeding a baby sloth at a certain time. So my kiddo and I hit over to wait. My kiddo was right at the front, close enough to look the sloth in the eye. Karen was standing to the right of my kiddo. Her son, who looks to be about 11 years old, comes shooting through the crowd and stands right in front of my kid. My kid has a list of neurological disorders and can't yet navigate the finer points of social interaction, so she freezes and starts to tear up. I say, excuse me, you're standing in front of my daughter. The entitled kid looks dumbfounded, but doesn't move. Hey, buddy, can you please move to your right? You're blocking my daughter. The entitled kid decided to give his balls a tug and replied, So, don't be rude. Move, please. The entitled mother says in Hindi to the entitled kid, ignore this stupid slut, son. I pushed my kid forward in front of the bratty kid, then quietly to entitled mother in Hindi, Auntie, this white slut knows Hindi. The entitled mother grabs entitled kid and hot puts it out of the crowd. Today's lesson, kids, don't assume someone doesn't speak the language because they're a different ethnicity. Our next Reddit post is from Jamaican Me Scream. I was traveling on a train yesterday afternoon back from seeing some friends. I was basically traveling the entire length of the route with a journey around 9 hours, moving over 450 miles north, so a long time. I had a reserved seat for the whole journey, with the seat next to me switching from being reserved for some of the journey for an hour or two, then being vacant. At around hour 6 of my journey, the train was becoming very busy with families coming in from day trips out. The next stop saw the person sitting next to me in the car, and a woman was looking and acting as if the group of scraggy students, like me, and families with little ones were far beneath her. Got on with a woman who looked my age, who were both looking around her seat. The older woman, hereafter entitled mother, saw the space next to me and made a beeline for it, with the other woman, entitled kid, in tow. This is the conversation that followed. Hi, I think you're in my daughter's seat. Oh, really? I'm pretty sure this is the seat I reserved. Doesn't it say so on the display? The train I was on had an automatic display saying whether or not the seat was reserved.
Suck it. Keyboard mouse.
While the seat next to me said it next became reserved at the station about an hour away. No, the screen's gone off. These are the seats for me and entitled kid. Now move. At this point, I got out of my seat to look at the screen, which still said it was reserved, and quickly sat back down. Nope, it still says it's my seat. The seat next to me seems free for a while if nobody wants to sit down. Why can't you just move? We're probably traveling further than you anyway. Sorry, but I'm really not going to move. The entitled mother raises her voice to attract the attention of others. I can't believe you won't have the dignity to let me sit next to my child. She can't just go sit on her own. How old are you? I'll be older than you. You really should do what I say. I'm 21 and look it. Seriously? I won't move from my reserved seat. Your child is 23 and doesn't need to sit with you. I was feeling petty and so rose my voice to mimic entitled mother when saying this. That's it. We're getting the staff. I will not be spoken to like this by a child. With that, they both left the carriage, and I didn't hear anything from anyone with the staff or anyone else. Though a lovely little old lady who was sitting across from me said that she probably would have sworn like a sailor at entitled mother and entitled kid if they'd spoken to her like that when they'd gone out of her shop. The icing on the cake was when so 2 stops after entitled kid, I saw them both go on the walk. I took everything not to get the little ladies and surprised. Can you imagine an age what I say? Lady, 23. The world stopped working like that at age 8. Our next Reddit post is from Paz.
Okay, now think you were.
No,
Ugh.
I want to play on the Switch with little sister. I then suggest for Entitled Kid to take the Switch handheld and take it downstairs. Entitled Kid then throws a tantrum. Enter Entitled Uncle upstairs or little sister. What did you do to upset him? I told him that he can't have little sister. I said take the handheld downstairs. Are you really telling me that a spent onion left on the side playing games? seeing him. Oh, word. Well, shoot. My frat is having a party in a couple weeks for the freshmen this year. And I just want to got some unreleased stuff to do. I did get our local rap. It's a shit, man. I'll see what I can do since it's weird. Do y'all have the ability to like stuff like that? Nah, we don't. Can't you rent that or borrow it from someone? you guys to like my videos, not dislike my videos. Can't you guys listen? In this next post, OP canceled her wedding because each of her friends refused to donate $1,500 to fund her wedding. Anyway, I am exhausted. I am bone tired. My heart is not the same. It's stone cold, fragmented, empty. I need to get away from this awful society. How hard would it have been to effing donate, friends? Do I matter to you? Just effing give me money for my wedding. I won't even sugarcoat. I won't even pretend that's not what I wanted. It was for a dream. I was stabbed, cheated on, and worked. Goodbye. See you in 2 months. Reminder to you, Christ, don't thank you, me. I am cutting all of you snakes off. I am living my life alone now. I only let in those I believe have good intention. EXO, EXO. I have no words. You're out of your mind, Susan. What happened to you? Who in their right mind expects that amount of money? Then this insane psychic to have an expensive wedding, while you're there, you might as well also get advice on lottery ticket numbers. That way, you can pay for the wedding. That was just poor planning on your part. I have a condo at a resort in a popular vacation spot. I run it as a business. The resort rents it out for me as it's part of their hotel and keeps me fed. I bought it during the last recession. It was cheap. I'm not rich with extra homes just lying around not being used. It's extra income, and I depend on it because I'm an IT contractor, so I'm unemployed for at least a month a year on average. The income is necessary. Importantly, to have it count as a business, not a home. I can't do it for more than a few days a year. This year, I let my sister have all my personal use days as an anniversary gift. In comes choosing beggar relative who found out from my sister that I let her use the property as a 25th anniversary for free. The choosing beggar called me up today to let me know she's taking her family on a vacation and wants to use my condo. I told her she can book it through Verbo, and I gave her a discount code, which is my standard family discount. My family discount basically discounts it to the point I make nothing from the rental after fees to the resort. She calls back and tells me it won't let her book. I hop on Verbo and check, and it says it's not available for those days. One of the days is already booked. She asks if I can cancel it. I said no because I don't manage it, and I'd have to pay full price for the person to stay somewhere else in the resort. She's upset, I can tell, but changes the dates. The day that was booked was at the end of her stay. Then she sees the price and calls me back upset that it would be about $2,500. I told her that it's the best I can do. She asks why it isn't free, and I said it's a resort, and part of that is $15 per person per day. And she has 5 people staying for 12 days. That's $900. Then there's a $300 cleaning fee, and I have to pay taxes and fees on the rental, which is most of the rest. She gets mad and asks why she can't use it for free like my sister. She said some choice words about me being greedy and trying to ruin their vacation. I was done at this point and told her straight up that she has to pay because she's a cousin, not my sister. It's not her 25th anniversary, and I didn't have to give you anything, since this is the first time she's called in 3 years and only to ask for a handout. Oh, cousin, my mistake. Here, try out this new discount code. Go F yourself. That was r/choosing beggars, and if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button because I worked hard on this video and I deserve it. Welcome to r/choosing beggars, where people demand discounts on free stuff. Probably not as choosing beggars as others, but earlier on this month, my mother kicked me out and tried to have me sectioned. She made it clear I was never welcome back at home. For Christmas, I had planned to send her away to the Azores, a beautiful cluster of islands off the coast of Portugal in the Atlantic. For her and my stepfather in the springtime for a week. Flights, villa, and everything paid for. My younger sister let slip that I'd arranged this for her on Christmas Day. After 3 weeks of no contact between us, I get a text reading, "Hey, hope you're having a good Christmas. Missing you. Just wanted to know when you're going to send us our holiday that you bought for us. You can send it in the post if you want so we don't have to see each other. It is so nice that you've done this for us. Thank you and have a good new year." I was fuming. I replied with, "Sorry, think you have the wrong number," and gifted it to my brother and his girlfriend as their first holiday away. The nerve. Hello, my precious son. We want you to buy vacation for us, but we honestly don't want to even see you. So if you could give us your money without us ever having to see your face, that would be ideal. Thanks. Our next Reddit post is from Jamie Madrocks. I just want a guy I can fall in love with, but never actually be official and let me do whatever I want. Find a cuck. WTF is that? A guy that lets his wife passionately hug other guys and gets off on it. Heck no, I like my guys to be protective and jealous over me. You obviously see how that conflicts from what you just said 2 texts earlier. LMFAO, I want my men to want me and be jealous over me. But no, I'm still doing whatever I want. That makes no sense. OP, you need to run, not walk to the nearest exit. This woman is nuts. Can I get a 15K loan? I'll pay you back next week. I don't carry that much in my personal account. 5K? Max I can loan is 500. I'm not giving away 5K like that. Just use your company account. It's your money anyway. You own the effing thing. WTF. Blank, we've been through this. And I've told you the whole thing about business and owner being separate entities. Are your business partners more important or a close friend? Yes, I'm not really. So, just to clarify, what the choosing vector was asking here was for OP to commit embezzlement, which is a felony because it's basically stealing from your partners and investors. And even if OP doesn't have business partners or investors and he owns the company entirely by himself, asking him to take out a personal loan from the business side of his account is how you get audited by the... Asking for a personal loan from the business is tax evasion, and the IRS will throw you in jail. So, yeah, dude, the business is more important than a quote friend. Our next Reddit post is from Zap12341. Free couch. Hi, I'm wondering if this is still available. Yes, it is. I charge $300 to remove it. So, you're telling me you want my couch, which I'm giving away for $0, and you want me to pay you $300 for 15 minutes of labor? Keep your garbage and remove it on your own. This is sort of like when people down in my comments say that I should pay you for the privilege of having my videos watched. Our next Reddit post is from Omega Weapon. Hi there, we were put on a list to receive some upgrades, and we've noticed that our sister organization has had 5. Yet, we were on the list before them. I was emailing with Carlos at the time. Thanks. Hi, Julie. There is no Carlos here. Which organizations are you referring to? Blank received them. I'm calling from Blank College. I'm sure I spoke to a Carlos. He had a Spanish name. Hey, Julie, we've never had a Carlos work here, but we did receive upgrades. I'm sure I spoke to someone there who had a Spanish-sounding name. Anyhow, why would Blank give them before us? We were before them in the hierarchy. Blank is on the priority list as they're a very underfunded organization. You are a well-funded college. I didn't know the two of you were affiliated. That shouldn't matter. We were promised upgrades to our chairs by Carlos or another Spanish guy. Julie, there is no Carlos or any other Spanish guy here. But oddly enough, you're both in the system. I'm the only one who posts jobs. My name is definitely not Carlos. But I'm right. I know who I spoke to. I can't find Carlos. Maybe you just misread it. I only had the original.
Dude, my aim sucks.
There wasn't a deposit required for this spot. No deposit. That's impossible. They can't approve any purchases without our permission. How did they pay? There was an agreement made between them and I. No, you can't do that. Not without our permission. You can't have a private agreement with them. It needs to be done by us.
What the fuck? Where were you?
Disabled kids too who need chair upgrades. Rich disabled kids going to a private college as opposed to community-funded disabled kids. The choice is obvious on my end, Julie. So it's prejudice that determines who is what. Oh yes, most definitely prejudice. Let's go there, shall we? We will have to commandeer the chairs
The fuck?
because we take priority as far as funding goes. With your funding, you can buy everyone 24 gold chairs. But instead, you want free upgrades to take from our sister organization. Shame on you and your college. I'll remove the upgrades. Then I'll give Nancy and Blank a personal gift of new upgraded chairs. You are now on a different list. What list would that be? What about us then? We had an agreement too. It starts with S and ends in garbage. The agreement is initiated by the invoice. There was no agreement, therefore no agreement. Ask your millionaire donors to help. Commandeer. Really? I will make sure to tell everyone I know about you and this conversation. I wouldn't be able to handle all this new business in your head. Followers online. Sure you can. We have over 50,000, dear. You're a peach. Buenos tardes. Oh, wow, Julie. 50,000 followers? Really? I'm so impressed and so scared for OP. I certainly hope OP doesn't have any friends with, I don't know, 1.1 million followers who might be able to back him up. OP, if Julie gives you any kind of trouble, reach out to me. And we'll see if 1.1 million is bigger than 50,000. Free armchair. There's another guy offering an armchair and a coffee table for free on here. Do you have anything you could sweeten the pot with to make it worth my while? Thanks, Jim. I can knock half off the asking price. And then the choosing beggar gets there, and the guy gives him half of a free armchair. Our next Reddit post is from Kevin Forshee. I have 2 employees that usually leave work at 6 p.m. They are good, but I don't like that their commitment lasts for work hours only. What should I do? Oh, well, you have 2 options. Either pay them for more hours, or like slave labor. Our next Reddit post is from Paradoxical Mind 420. And in this post, a distant acquaintance reached out after years of silence in response to a post about looking for a CNA or MA position. I'm interested in applying. I appreciate the interest, but I'm looking for someone with a CNA or an MA only. Sorry. Blank may be hiring for other positions that don't require that certification, but unfortunately I'm not. Wow, as a fellow mother, you think you help someone out? Excuse me? I'm not hiring personal help. Blank makes the rules for who is qualified for these positions. I just interview and hire based on those qualifications. But I really need a job. I have 7 kids. Think that's enough qualification, don't you think? Life experience isn't qualification for a position that requires a certain set of skills. Try retail or waitressing maybe, where you aren't required specifically to have a background in that area to get a job. I don't want to work in waitressing. I get nauseous when I'm around too much food. And I don't want to work retail because I don't want to work every weekend or at night. For kids. Well, I'm not sure what to tell you, but I can't help you. But you just vouch for me and say I have a CNA. Are you kidding me? A CNA is a license that you can use with the state. 1 quick check and they'll know if you're lying. 2, what makes you think I'd lie for you? As another mom, I think you'd help me out. My kids are going to have Christmas because of you. Thanks. So, a CNA license is a certified nursing assistant's license. Can you imagine living in this alternate reality where doctors and nurses are based off of how many kids they're having? Yes, hello. I'll be performing your brain surgery. Lucky for you, I have 12 kids. So let's hurry up and get this done. I want to be home before 5 so I can spend time with my precious babies. Hi, I heard from Blank that you've been looking to sell your PS4. Is that right? That is correct. It's a PS4 Slim with controllers in a very good state, except for some microscopic scuffs here and there. I've had it for about a year only, so I'm listing it for $220. Let me know if you're interested. Oh, and I'll also throw in Uncharted 4 for you. How does that sound? Why are you selling it? I recently bought a PS4 Pro, so this one is no longer in need. But as I said, it's still a good
Well,
Why don't you just give me it for free if you don't need it anymore, lol? And as a bonus,
didn't
you
think
can
that was
keep
there.
the game. I don't really play that garbage. I think I'll pass on that offer. Don't be an effing wimp, dude. You just said you don't effing need it. Alright, how about this? Give me 3 valid reasons and I'll send it over. I'll even cover the transport cost. It's actually an early Christmas present for my son. He's been begging me for a PS4 for a whole year now. That's why. I think that's a good enough reason. Wow, I'm moved. Such an incredible display of fatherhood. I wish I was as lucky as your son. Send me your name and address. I'll send it over ASAP. For real? Thanks, man. He'll be so happy. Then the choosing beggar writes his address. Nah, I don't give a flip about your son. F you, man. I return the compliment. So, did anyone notice how his story kinda doesn't add up? He said he doesn't want Uncharted 4 because he doesn't play that. But then he says he wants it for his son. This guy clearly just wanted a free PS4 for himself, and then used his son as an excuse. I'm surprised his son isn't also dying of cancer and has perfect grades. Review 1 out of 5 stars. Don't bother calling for takeout. They put you on hold and never come back. Posted by the owner of Frankie D's. Sorry for your inconvenience. The server taking your order had a seizure while doing so and couldn't complete the process. When you showed up to retrieve your order and it wasn't ready, even though there was an ambulance in front of the restaurant and we were tending to the medical emergency at hand, we offered to complete your order at that time. I am sorry that you declined and chose to complain in a public forum. Terrible service. I would have tipped my waitress, but she died in the middle of our meal. How rude. What's the lowest you'll take? Lowest I'll go is $700. $200? Sure, why not? Okay, where do you want to meet? 101 Main in Burlington in about 10 minutes. Sounds good. Hey, I'm here. Cool, hit inside. Into the comedy club? Yeah, get up on the stage and tell your joke to somebody else. Are you still selling the 30-inch TV? No, sorry. I sold it a few days ago. How about $200? I already sold it. Sorry. $250? I literally do not have it. Then don't waste my time. Technically, that wasn't a choosing beggar, but it was so dumb I had to include it. Can you draw me? Yeah, sure. My price starts at 150 pounds for an A4. That's 11 by 8 inch black and white drawing. Free? Is it done yet? Sorry, all done. I couldn't see the top of your head in the photos, so I had to guess what it looked like. And then we had this absolute masterpiece of a drawing. If you're listening to this video and not watching, this is definitely where something taking place. I want you to make me art right now. Please put me ahead of everything else you're working on. I need some free art right now, within a few hours. Okay, thank you. If you don't complete our agreement, I'm gonna dox you. I've obtained this information through a close friend of yours. You have until tomorrow to make me art. Please make it of a skeleton with a weed pipe in his mouth and make him dancing. I'm being serious. I really need this art, and I'm not afraid to release this information. Do not mess this up. Man, it's depressing the type of abuse that artists go through. I'm kinda lucky that YouTubers are fairly immune to this. Usually, I don't get many demands from my fans, except for, of course, people wanting more puppy bloopers. $200? Dog. Dog. What do you want? I gotta work, bud. Poochum. Wanna play?
Thumperheads here?
Why not? Come on. dump on your neighbor's house. That probably also would have been effective, but in a very different way. Now, how many of you are imagining a butt sticking over the balcony and dumping onto the neighbor's house? If so, please hit that like button because it really helps me out. Our next Reddit post is from Genevieve. This story takes place almost 12 years ago, so I'll do my best with the dialogue and details, but admittedly, some things are a little fuzzy. Most of my life, I've had a problem with picking men that were not good for me. So much so that I even had a phrase for it. Saving the world one wrong at a time. One of my more spectacularly bad choices was a guy by the name of Bob. Obviously, not as real. I met Bob when I was working one of my two jobs in the local mall. He worked somewhere else in the mall, so we hit it off, and soon enough, we were in a relationship. Within a few months, my lease was up, and we ended up moving in together, which obviously, in hindsight, was a huge mistake. But I was dumb. Soon enough, red flags began to fly. He would say things in common conversation that were simply incorrect, like, there's only 4 continents, and the rest are actually owned by the Martian government, and thus don't count, etc. And when challenged, he certainly drop the subject. He would also make claims that seemed entirely unreal, such as when I asked where he had been staying prior to his mom's house. He said he camped in the woods. I asked how he did that for months on end, and without any gear, he simply gestured to himself and said, "This is all the gear I need." Which trade though by far was his epic laziness. I had never witnessed someone so lazy in my life. Bob was unemployed for over a third of our relationship and would simply sit in the apartment watching Netflix or playing some war game on his computer, aka my spare computer, typing away in the group chat. He would never clean up after himself, leaving dirty dishes in the sink, filled on every surface, while taking a shower maybe once a week. The smell that permeated my apartment could only be described as revolting, and could easily gag a maggot. I would inquire if he was doing his job to be dismissed, given a growing amount of excuses, such as, "But I don't have a car, how would I get there? The bus doesn't run in that area. The internet went down, so I couldn't apply," etc., etc. Meanwhile, I'm working double and triple shifts at my job to try to make up the lost income and running him all over town in my off time, getting applications and helping him fill them out until the end. Keep in mind, he doesn't have a cell phone, so all of these apps have my contact info. Thus begins the era of him holding my phone while I'm at work, so he can make calls or schedule interviews, and also I can get a hold of him from my store phone if I needed to. Things began getting weird. He began staying up later and later on his group chat. Sometimes he was gone. Sometimes he would hang out all evening until it was time for bed. Then he would always make some excuse on why he needed to check the game before bed, and he'd be right there. Hours would pass. No Bob. I began to get suspicious, but nothing incriminating seemed to be taking place, so I just shrugged it off as me being insecure. Then he started asking to use my car to go see his best friend, Ben. Now, I wasn't super comfortable with this, but I did know Ben pretty well, and we got along almost better than Bob and I did, so I guess to a degree I trusted Ben over Bob and agreed to it. This happened a few times while I was working the evening shift, and he was always back at the allotted time with my car and my phone, and relatively grateful for the opportunity to hang out with his buds. Suspicious? Yes, but I'm the kind of person that is loyal and trusting to a fault, and don't assume anything without proof, and from every angle, all seem to be on the up and up, so I took it at face value. So, one day, he asked to borrow my car and go with his friends to a card gaming tournament. He put on a great show, telling me how the prize money would help us out, and with the deck he had, there was no way he could lose. I just had to let him use my car and phone this one last time, and he would be able to buy himself a phone with the prize money. I wasn't a huge fan of the idea, but nothing untoward had occurred in the previous instances, and I didn't feel like spending my only day off at a card game convention that I literally couldn't care less about, so I acquiesced. I bought myself a couple green monsters and some vodka and had my own little personal drunk party. Hours ticked by, and no Bob. Eventually, I passed out, wake up at the crack of dawn, violently sick. This went way beyond a hangover. I started retching in the bathroom until there was nothing left but bile, but the retching wouldn't stop. Hours ticked by, and I lay in my bathroom floor sweating and convulsing with no phone, no car, and no Bob. I eventually was able to crawl to my room and wrap myself in a bathrobe before crawling down my apartment building stairs and began knocking on the closest doors. It took 3 apartments before someone opened the door and allowed me to use their phone to call my mom. My mother was at my apartment in 6 minutes flat and rushed me to the ER, where I was diagnosed with an aggressive and antibiotic-resistant strain of C. diff. Bob finally showed up later that afternoon, phone and car keys in hand, looking very concerned and claiming to be deeply apologetic, but my mom hated him from that point on. I was out of the hospital and back to work within a few days, but it was the beginning of the end. During these last months, we were constantly scraping by due to his lack of consistent income and poor spending habits. There were jobs gotten, there were jobs lost for various reasons throughout our relationship, but the final job was the one I helped him get literally 3 buildings down from my own workplace. This company rents furniture and electronics on a monthly basis, and I happen to know most of the employees and the hiring manager, and they are regular customers at my coffee establishment. I was able to use what little sway I had to get him on there, and he accepted a job as a cleaner. Within a few weeks, I come home from work to find a brand new TV system, and him grinning like an idiot. I tell him, we can't afford this. We can barely afford to eat. We're surviving off scraps of work. He talks about his amazing employee discipline and assures me it's no big another few weeks, the rent is late, and we're receiving eviction notices on our door. I come home from work and mysteriously, he finally realized he couldn't afford it and took it back. He gets paid, rent gets paid, and all is as good as it can be. Until I found a phone slip for the TV in his pocket as I was doing my and went ballistic. He assured me I was too pissed to catch on to the secrecy aspect of the situation. Weeks go by with him working mornings and myself working evenings while we shared one phone and car. Until that fateful day arrived. I woke up that morning with a migraine headache and opted to let Bob take the car but leave me the phone so I can call someone later on for a ride to work. A few hours of uncomfortable sleep go by before I'm awoken by my phone. I answer the phone, still groggy. Hello? There is a long pause on the other end of the line until a female voice asks, is Bob there? I felt a sickening feeling in my gut and began to shake. Is this real? Am I dreaming? No, he's at work right now, but this is his wife. Total lie, but hey, is there something I can help you with? I wasn't rude. I phrased it as a genuine question rather than an accusation. Another another long pause before she began to stammer about maybe she had the wrong number, but it was obvious she just wanted to get off the phone with me as quickly as possible. And I realized in that moment that I desperately needed her. Please, I said with an edge of desperation in my voice. I don't know what's going on, but I just really need somebody to tell me the truth. The last word came out in a sob, and I just sat there for a moment in silence, trying to quell the urge to just cry uncontrollably. Listen, the voice on the other end was almost gentle. I need to make a few phone calls, but I promise you, I will call you back. She said it calmly and with so much conviction that I really wanted to believe her. Please? You promise? I almost begged. I promise, she replied. Okay. I took a deep breath and released it. I'll talk to you soon, and hung up. I then proceeded to aggressively pace my living room floor, staring at my phone while chain smoking and muttering to myself like a crazy person. I knew who she was calling. I was replaying all those little red flag moments in my head from the last few months, pinning down dates or behavior I found suspect when the phone rings again. It's her. I froze for a moment, shocked she followed through and called me back. Terrified of what this meant, I answered the phone, and what followed was about the most soul-crushing 45 minutes of my life. After initial introductions, June, again, not the real name, and I began comparing stories, and it became glaringly obvious what was happening. They had actually been in a relationship several years prior and had run back into each other on the aforementioned war game, where they began to flirt on group chat. All those nights he'd been on the computer, he'd been chatting with her. All those times he'd go hang out with his friends, he'd been using my car to take her out, and my phone to communicate with her. The time I was sick and alone with no resources, you guessed it, he was with her. Oh, but it gets better. Do you have a little silver hummingbird necklace? She inquired. Yes, my mother gave it to me for my 27th birthday. Actually, I love it. Really? Because he gave me one for Mother's Day. OMG! I almost yelled into the phone as I ran to my room and tore through my jewelry box. It wasn't in there. It was around her neck. From there, we discovered not only had he been giving her my property as gifts, but he'd had her over to our apartment, passing it off as his own. I didn't want to believe him capable of doing something so cruel and disrespectful when I have allowed him to sponge off me for the better part of 3 years. Unfortunately, as in confirmation, she began describing my apartment to a T, all the way down to my bed sheets. June said he even pulled my secret box from beneath my bed and offered to use my adult items on her. She said she found it weird and didn't partake, but I threw them away due to the sheer ick factor. Finally, she uttered the words I didn't know I wanted to hear. You know what we should do? We should bust him together. My mind immediately started racing. Indeed, we should. I was a mix of fury, adrenaline, and despair, so my thinking wasn't exactly straight, and details begin to get hazy here. We arranged to meet up at work and to find a way to lure Bob over there, but unfortunately, she lived about 40 minutes away, whereas I only live about 6 miles from our destination, so if I got there first, I'd need to stall him, assuming he wasn't out on delivery. I called a trusted coworker of mine at work, sobbing and begging for a ride. To his everlasting credit, he got somebody to cover and left work to come get me and bring me to my car. When I got to Bob's workplace, I went inside to retrieve my keys. This isn't uncommon, as they know the car is mine, and was stopped halfway through the store by Bob's manager, wanting to talk about the payment due on our account. I don't remember the exact dialogue, but I said something along the lines of, look, I don't know when you're going to get your payment. I looked utterly defeated and told him we could never afford the TV in the first place, and how I had begged Bob to take it back, and now we don't have it anymore, as Bob has pawned it, and I don't have the money to get it out, let alone pay him. I was full on blubbering at this point. He stopped me to clarify that his is pounding in my chest, and blood is roaring in my ears. What was I going to say? What was he going to say? Would June make it here before he did? My heart sinks. Welcome to r/Petty Revenge, where people get back at everyday jerks. When I worked at Walmart, I went from cart pusher to cashier to electronics to security. Sometimes, after I switched to security, when electronics was really swamped, I'd help out for a few minutes. One day, the phone was ringing, and I was walking by and randomly answered it. Sir Scamelot said, "Hello, sir. This is Steam Support Services with Valve." Instantly, of course, I know this is a scam. I adore Valve and played so many of their games too. I can't believe my luck. Of all the calls to answer, surprisingly, he didn't have some weird accent. "Oh, what can I do for you?" "We've had reports that game keys shipped to your location may have an error that prevents it from authenticating. Specifically, the game Counter-Strike. We need to validate your game keys to see if yours are affected." I forget which Counter-Strike was on sale then. This was 2008. "Oh, what do I do?" As if I didn't know. "Well, I just need you to open any copies of the game you had and read me the CD key on the instruction manual so I can verify them with our validation software." Or on the jewel case. I don't remember that either. "Sure thing. Can I put you on hold for a minute while I get those?" Sir Scamelot, obviously happy. "Sure." So I put Sir Scamelot on hold while I called all the other area store's electronic department and warned them about the scammer and confirmed nobody had taken a photo of this earlier. About 15 minutes later, I get back to Scamelot. "Thanks for holding, but I can't find any CD keys. I looked all through the book and the packages." Sir Scamelot, getting annoyed. "Well, sir, just open any copy of Counter-Strike and on the..." "Oh, Counter-Strike. I thought you said Counting Strikes, that bowling game." "Okay, hold on." Everyone in the department is listening, and we all laugh. 10 minutes later, I'm back on the line. "Okay, I got what you're looking for. What do you need?" Now, I make him walk me through how to open the box, including interrogating him for 5 minutes about how to do it without breaking the seal. Then, I can't find the book, etc., etc. Finally, I'm ready to read the code. First, I read him the UPC, this is awesome. Then, I read him a part number from something. Now he's livid. Finally, I ask him if he means the code on the book that says game and has like groups of 4 digits with dashes, like he said probably 50 times already, and he gets excited again. "Oh, okay, here's the game key. Okay, F as in Frank, U like uncle, C like cat." "Sir, I don't think that's right. Normally a code would..." No, it's F, U, C, then K like kite, next 4 is Y like yesterday, O like owl, and he's It was such an obvious scam. Valve would never call someone on the phone. They're also busy developing Half-Life 3. Our next Reddit post is from Angry Cat. "My ex-husband and I bought our home from his parents. They had the house built in the 50s. For years, father-in-law wanted to install a shutoff valve in the utility room to, shut off the water to the whole house to do some repairs. The plumber told him it would cost a large amount of money because they couldn't find the shutoff from the city water main in the Buffalo Box, aka the water main shutoff valve. Since the Buffalo Box was MIA, they would have to freeze the pipes to stop the water before installing the shutoff valve. It was an expensive process to freeze the pipes, so it never got done. When we bought the house, we decided to get the shutoff valve installed. We called the water department, and they sent 2 workers to shut off the water. When they arrived, I explained the problem. They went out to their front yard, walked around a bit, and told me there was nothing they could do for me. According to the 2 workers, it was my problem that they couldn't find the Buffalo Box, and that I should call a plumber to dig up my front yard, sidewalk, and city easement to find my Buffalo Box. Well, I have a background in residential real estate construction, and I was familiar with how water mains and buffalo boxes are installed. And I told them it was the city's issue, as they were responsible for the buffalo box, not the homeowners. According to these guys, as a woman, I didn't know what I was talking about, and they left. They were incredibly rude about me, but peons like these think they can get away with being rude to an ignorant woman like me. Fast forward to a year or so later, I get a call from the city manager asking why I hadn't paid my water bill for over a year. I told him that I wanted to pay my water bill, but I wanted them to first turn off my water. He was a bit taken aback that I wanted them to turn off the water. So I explained what the city workers told me about locating the buffalo box and their attitude about women not understanding those types of things. I also told him that if the city could not turn off my water, I would be happy to have free water forever, because I would never pay another bill. We had a nice long chat about the situation, and he said that he would resolve my concerns. The next day, these same two guys show up at my house with some digging equipment and spend the whole day digging up the easement and the sidewalk. Their attitudes were rather somber because the city manager told me he was going to give them a talking to about how they mishandled the situation. I even got an apology. They found the buffalo box under this. They fixed the buffalo box so it would be accessible and came the next day to fix the sidewalk. They asked if I wanted the water turned off. I declined, and I told them I would have my plumber take care of it when we had him install the interior shut-off valve. And then I paid the water bill. That's such a power move. Ma'am, if you don't pay the water bill, we're going to have to turn off your water. Okay, good luck. It's such a win-win situation. Either they do what she originally wanted and they find her water main to turn off the water, or they don't find the water main, in which case she gets free water for the rest of her life. Our next Reddit post is from Callie Blair. I have one incredible, the HOA isn't the butthole in this case story. My dad is African American, and we're on a walk around the community park around 3 in the afternoon. He was wearing jeans, etc. Someone who had recently moved in, maybe only 2 weeks,
Go fuck yourself.
because they were unable to attend the meeting. They said they had a photo of a suspicious person who had been obviously casing people's houses to rob them, and included photos of my dad. The president of the HOA emailed back that they were very concerned after seeing the photos, and would stop by her house to discuss the issue in person. They scheduled a time to talk and come up with safety strategies. My dad is the president of the HOA. He said the look on her face when she opened the door was priceless. He then proceeded to discuss the issue with her. Like she hadn't emailed a picture of him asking her, "Now, why did you feel concerned for your safety? And what about him made you think this man was a threat?" She didn't send any more complaints. I feel like your dad could have been like, "Oh, and by the way, I noticed that you haven't brought in your garbage can yet. I'm afraid that's a $50 fine." Our next Reddit post is from Cookie Monster 1997. A couple months back, my boyfriend and I went out for drinks one night at this cool little speakeasy in Montreal. It's actually quite an interesting place. You come in through a nondescript entrance and the place has a really nice vibe going on once you get inside. Note, this is one of those bars where the server comes to your table and serves the drinks rather than one where you order at the bar and take the drinks back yourself. We were seated at our table by the server. We ordered a couple cocktails, and then a couple more, and then a couple more after that. Each time we had to order, my boyfriend or I would have to go fetch the server so he could take our order or go up to the bar, order, and then bring the drinks back ourselves. Then, when it came time for the bill, I went up again so he would come to our table. He came and thought we were going to order again, despite me clearly asking for the bill when I went up. So he went back to get the card machine, and it was another 10 minutes before he was back. At this point, I was quite ticked off at the not-so-great service and was debating whether or not I should tip him. The screen had an option for 10%, 15%, 20%, or other. I decided to just say 10%, as I wanted to avoid arguing with the server. service employees are pretty freaking notorious when it comes to the expectation of tips. Now, he prints out the receipt and takes a look at it and sees I left 10%. He then asks if we had a nice evening, to which my boyfriend responded that we did. We both thought it was just a standard question servers ask, so we didn't bother telling him about the poor service received, especially because it wouldn't really make a difference at this point. The guy then says, "Oh, well, if you had such a nice time, then you should have left at least a 15% tip. Because in Canada, it's customary to leave a minimum 15% when the service is good." I'm guessing the reason he felt the need to outline that's how it is in Canada is because I'm a brown guy. Now comes the petty part. I responded, "Oh, I didn't know. Why don't I cancel this bill and redo it so I can tip you properly?" He said, "Sure thing. Just give me a second, because the manager has to approve bill cancellations." Again, we waited a good 10 minutes for him to come back with the new bill. I was happy to wait though, because once he came back, I put in the PIN and then selected the other option for tip and left him 0%. He printed out the receipt and his look of disbelief was well worth it. We got up and my white Canadian boyfriend said, "Our only tip to you is to give better service and not be so much of a butthole. In Canada, we don't really like buttholes." So to all my Canadian viewers out there, what? Welcome to r/pro revenge, where OP destroys the life of the man who made him as a kid. My parents were renovating their house about a year ago. Generally, I have a friend that's my go-to electrician for stuff like this, but my parents had hired a guy to paint the living room and needed this done quickly. My electrician friend happened to be on vacation, so he wouldn't be able to get out to me until after the painter was already scheduled to come. After referring with a couple of other friends, they recommended an electrician. We are all from the same country and happen to immigrate to the same small town. So people within our culture generally recommend other people from the same country. The electrician comes by for a quote. I never met him individually, and he tells my parents that he knows basically the amount of time it will take, and that he can't give them an exact quote because he doesn't know how much time it will take until the job is already started. My parents think this sounds reasonable and end up hiring him. Just as an aside, I installed Nest cameras for my parents in the living room facing the front door, so we had a good view of the area where the job was being performed. This job takes him about an hour, and he literally sat on my couch on his phone for about 5 hours, watching TV, kicking his feet up, waiting for my mom to get home, so that he could show her the work is completed and charge her like 6 hours for a job that took him about an hour. Which I confirmed how unprofessional his behavior was on my Nest cam. My parents didn't want to cause any friction, so they paid him for the amount of time he charged them. I believe it was like $500 for something that should have really cost like $150 or so. Anyway, the lighting fixtures were installed, he received his check, and went on his merry way. My electrician friend later confirmed that this guy had seriously upcharged my parents. A few months later, I decided to take a side gig selling solar as a 1099 employee. I was making decent money at my existing job, but I had a wide enough network where I could help people around me with generally good solar deals and make some good money for myself on the side. The company I connected with would give me, quote, my price on panels including installation, as well as on the roof if a roofing job was required. My price was extremely good, and the way I made my money was by tacking on my fee at the end, built into the roof price and the per watt price of the panels plus installation. Much like my parents found the electrician, this same electrician, who I had never met, found me inquiring about a roofing job. I told him that I don't do standalone roofs, but that I could package something for him including solar, which would get rid of most of his electricity bill. He said he didn't have the money up front for the roof or the panels, which is fine because we can finance, and it started to sound like he was a little bit desperate as his roof was leaking and he didn't have the capital to fix it. Generally, when I go to a client, I try to keep the price down and make it more desirable for the client. I'd rather make less money than no money. So I generally make around 3,000 to 5,000 per install, which is a win-win. When I got the call, I thought the guy's name was familiar. And sure enough, it was the electrician who had helped my parents and left a bad taste in my mouth. At this point, I knew he was desperate for a resolution to his roof issue, and I knew he barely spoke any English. So my word was going to be gold. I set up an appointment to go meet with him in about a week. I knew that I was going to upcharge the stuffing out of him. Due to the language barrier he would have with other installers, his desperation, and the fact that he upcharged my parents. I got the price quote from the installer that said that the roof would cost about $10,000 for a strip and re-roof. This was a really good house, as the house was a multi-family unit, and I was expecting the roof to come around $15,000. They also gave me the price on the solar panels, which would be around $15,000. So the price I was looking at for the project was around $25,000. Generally, on a good situation like this, I $29,000. Not going to be spectacular. A couple grand, and call it a day. But I was screw this guy. So I adjusted the cost of the roof to $19,000 and the price of the panels to $21,000. Half expecting that I would eventually need to come down on the pricing at some point. I went over there to meet up with him, proposed his setup, and told him how good the quality of the roofing job would be, which is accurate, and that the solar system would virtually wipe out his electricity bill, and that I would get him set up with a 25-year loan to keep his monthly payment down. He agreed to this, was excited to get his roof done, and didn't care much about the panels. But they were part of the bundle, and on the weekend, once everything was installed, I was putting on my deal and went to cash my $15,000. I went to my parents' house and gave them $15,000 commission check. Just so it's clear, there was nothing shady about what I did. It was way more expensive than it needed to be, and everything was disclosed to him properly. He just paid more than he would have had to, even if he simply shopped around. But at the end of the day, it's well within my rights to charge whatever I want. Like, it's within the rights of the customer to tell me to F off. A big chunk of what you paid is price. But paid way more than you. Moral of the story, especially for contractors, plumbers, electricians, and mechanics, don't screw people because you're more aware of how things work than they are in a particular field. Because you might end up getting screwed later tenfold. OP, you should have sent him an itemized invoice. Fixing the roof and installing the solar panels, $15,000. Sitting around for 6 hours laughing at how stupid you are, another $15,000. Our next Reddit post is from that chick 321. My father is a plumber. Great guy. Does the work you want and does his best on every job. Acting like it's his own home to try to make sure the customer is satisfied. He was doing a job at a home where they wanted a complete bathroom remodel, asking the owners of the home things, where they wanted the sink, shower, and toilet to be located, what kind of tiles, what designs for said tiles, even down to what color grout they wanted. He did everything to their specifications, and on one of the last days of work, the day he was grouting everything, they decided to say it wasn't the correct tiles. They didn't like it and were going to pay him half of what he quoted them. Half of what he was owed for this 2-week-long job. 2 weeks being a decently short amount of time to demo and rebuild a whole freaking bathroom. He told them that this was wrong, that they literally picked everything, so why was it wrong now? They didn't care, told him to finish and leave. My father, ever the people pleaser, did so. Except he mixed sugar in with the grout, then grouted their bathroom. Their whole bathroom was finished with sugar grout, guys. He only got paid half, but they had to spend much more than that on bug sprays for years. Years. Nothing could keep the bugs away from that sweet, sweet bathroom. According to a neighbor of theirs who was a friend of my father's. Don't F with your servicemen. Don't get rid or they may just be extra sweet. The funny thing is that down in the comments, someone asked OP, how come the homeowners never blamed his dad for the grounds? owners thought I was going to be easy to screw over, and they'd talk all kinds of garbage to each other, apparently not remembering that I had explicitly said I'm proficient in Arabic. So, I recorded these conversations. My legacy toward consent that often bled into them trying to make me cover for them on major health code violations. Seriously, they expected me to cover for them while they talked garbage about me right in front of them. So, I quickly began searching for a new job and continued to document the bejesus out of everything. Every single thing. I had pictures, timestamps, temp logs, all of it. And then they messed with my pay. I was going to just walk away and leave that. But then they messed with my pay. Everything that I had been gathering as my just-in-case plan became the weapon I needed it to be. I confronted them about the very obvious wage theft. They denied it. Even in the face of the major discrepancies in work hours, set wage, and out-of-pocket taxes, that night, I got a call from the place supervisor asking if I was still interested in the position. Obviously, I was. Told them I could start in about 3 days. I walked in for my next shift with prints of everything in a file, put everything on the table, and told him, "You've been stealing money. I have all of this in proof of that. And all of this ready to go to the health department, labor department, and IRS. Pay me what you owe, and this doesn't seem to work."
Go fucking kill yourself.
The amount that I have recorded missing from my checks, and took the files and started shredding them. As I turned to leave his office, I turned back around and told him, in Arabic, "I could understand you the whole time, you pig hugger." And I walked out. Quit on the spot. Of course, he didn't have the only copies of those files. When I got home, I sent everything off to the relevant departments. He was shut down about a month later. Every single time it happens, I will continue to be bewildered. Why do people screw over the workers who know all of their dirty secrets? That doesn't make any sense. Our next Reddit post is for bells. When I was 15, my mom started dating a man she met on a dating website. I didn't like him the first time I met him, and 2 months later, he moved in the house. About 3 weeks after he moved in, he took my skateboards, self-built half-pipe, ramps, BMX bike, ice hockey gear, and many other things to the dump while I was at school. He said he did this because he didn't want to look like garbage.
Okay, fuck you.
One day, he decided to take my extensive Pokemon card collection, even more extensive comic book collection, my Game Boy and PS2 with all the assorted games, and my fantasy and sci-fi book collection, and got rid of it all because 15-year-old boys should be playing football and baseball, not being a bundle of sticks nerd playing with Pokemon cards and reading comics and books. I would like to add that he was a middle school teacher and in his off time refereed and umpired local middle and high school sports games. My mom never intervened and in fact acquiesced when he demanded that she stop giving him money because the little turd will just live on comics and other gay garbage. One day, I took maybe $3 in change out of his change so I could buy a slice of pizza and some fruit punch during lunch at school because I was tired of being hungry. My twin sister was always a bit of a and doing her chores from a young age. I was fed up of something for what I'd done. This man actually called the police and pressed a larceny charge against me. And once the police had left, proceeded to beat me senseless. At that point, I ran away. When the cops found me and returned me to home, I found out that he had been trying to talk my mom into sending me away to military school or something of that nature. I ran away again, and between having run away several times and the larceny charge, ended up turning 16 in juvenile detention. I spent the next couple years miserable and afraid, frequently contemplating suicide. Once I was out on my own, I didn't speak to my mom for several years. We eventually reconciled, and at that point, we had married. I was a lot bigger than I had been as a young teenager, and I had gotten into weightlifting. So he no longer acted like he was going to punch me to make me flinch, much less actually hit me, and we basically avoided each other for the most part. My mother found out that she had stage 4 cancer and no longer wanted to waste any of the time she had left with him. So she had a lawyer draft up a separation agreement whereby he would receive a set amount of money upon separation and would have 45 days to retrieve his belongings from the house. He had spent his entire inheritance in 6 months and then had to sell his mother's house that he grew up in order to settle his debts shortly before they started dating. And my mother bought the house back from the bank before they married. She allowed him to keep the house, and he moved back into his mother's house. My mother passed away about 9 months after their separation, and despite the agreement, had been allowing him to come and get his stuff piecemeal. I put an immediate end to that. He was past the deadline to remove his personal effects, and they were now legally mine to dispose of as I saw fit. I sold his baseball card collection around $14,000 and his autographed sports memorabilia around $11,000, and also sold all of his woodworking equipment along with several finished pieces of furniture that he had made. $6,500, I think. I kept his mother's engagement ring, a platinum band with 3 diamonds, roughly 2 carats, his wedding band, his coin collection, and some tools and other odds and ends. Now comes the real fun. Around a month ago, I finally saw him at the grocery store. As he was leaving, I approached him. I told him I had sold his collections as he was pushing his cart out towards his car. He reacted exactly as I expected. He took a swing at me multiple times. I've already had my phone ready to dial 911. Several of these punches missed, and the ones that did connect didn't have much effect because he's nowhere near as strong as he was 20 years ago in his 40s. And I was no longer a skinny little 15-year-old. He continued to try to punch me as I spoke to the 911 operator and was actively ramming his grocery cart into my new Toyota as the police officers pulled into the parking lot. He was arrested for assault, committing threats, and destruction of property. As a result, he lost his job and pension at the local middle school. And because he had never learned how to save money while married to my somewhat wealthy mother, ended up having to sell his mother's house because he hired an expensive lawyer, thinking he could somehow beat the charges. My nephew, who was on the football team, made it well known to his friends that he not only had just been arrested and convicted of assault, as well as other charges, but that he had also beat me as a child, causing several parents to call for him to resign from refereeing and umpiring for local sports games. My niece and my girlfriend's much younger sister are enrolled at the middle school where he worked, and say that he was not only universally disliked, but when he came up to the school to get his belongings, he made a big scene and ended up hysterically crying as he was leaving. That's what they've heard from the kids who were attending summer school at the time. His son, who he was equally abusive towards as a child, refused to take him in or help him out. So the abusive stepfather ended up having to take a job as a cashier at Walmart so that he could afford the rent on his sucky little trailer in an absolutely awful neighborhood. Even though that Walmart is not the closest Walmart to my house, that is now the only place where I go grocery shopping or to purchase anything I need. I purposefully stand in line longer than I need, just so that he can be the one who has the pleasure of ringing up my purchases. The first time I went through his line, he attempted to ring up multiple items more than one time to overcharge me. And when I called him on it, he said that I was mistaken. I asked for a manager, and the manager believed him that it was an accident, but he learned that he can't get away with that. The second time, I made sure to be as nice as possible, and had to ask for a manager because he was overwhelmingly rude. The people in line behind me backed me up, and he got in some trouble for that. Every time I go there and step into line, I see him die a little bit inside, and it gives me so much satisfaction. Sometimes I'll say that I'm paying with exact change, and as I'm about to hand him the money, I'll say, "Oh, I didn't realize I had a rare coin from his collection in my pocket. I guess I'll use my credit card." I just sold his expensive ratcheting wrench set, and so on Monday when he works again, I'm going to go buy my daughter one of their better above-ground pools. And as he's ringing it out, tell him, I know that my daughter is just going to love this pool. It's not like I would have ever used those expensive ratcheting wrenches anyway. OP, that was absolutely beautiful and a pleasure to read. That dude is a grade A. What kind of guy trashes on someone who collects Pokemon cards and then collects coins and baseball cards? I'm gonna be honest with you. Nowadays, collecting coins is nerdier than collecting Pokemon cards. That was r/Pro Revenge, and don't forget, I've got merchandise in my store. You can find the link down. Please buy some of my merch because it's the best way to support my channel.
Fuck yourself. Dance. Do it. Dance.
Welcome to r/Pro Revenge, where justice is served. On New Year's Day of 2018, I was also getting shaken.
The fuck?
Spending my years over there. I smoked like a chimney, and my cardio was garbage. Going to college in America didn't help matters because I started drinking to go along with my smoking. I decided to start going to spin class. I work at a marketing firm and chose a particular spin class because I received a free year-long membership as a holiday office party present that year. It was a generous gift because it was a trendy, pricey boutique spin studio. I've ridden bikes my whole life, so I thought, how hard can it be to ride a bike that doesn't go anywhere? But my first day in class was a rude awakening. It was clear that the class that I was attending, an early morning class for people who was in before work, was an advanced one where a majority seemed to already be part of the culture and very fit. It was obvious I couldn't keep up. The instructor was really nice and told me that since I'm new, it's a good idea for me to ride up front so that I can watch him and copy what he does more accurately. Or, alternatively, he can easily see what I'm doing and offer alternatives if I'm not doing things right. I thought, what a great guy, and what a great class. There were these two other students in the class, though, who gradually made my morning spin classes suck. Valerie was obviously very fit. She looked like a model, and obviously worked hard to look as good as she did. Boris was her male equivalent. They were both about my age, maybe a few years older, but it was clear they were far more fit than me. They were obviously very invested in that particular gym structure, and that they were always decked out in the store brand athletic wear. I'm not gonna lie, they looked good wearing it. They weren't a couple, but it was obvious that Boris had a thing for Valerie, and Valerie was aware of it and not reciprocating. Whatever they were doing, it wasn't my business. That thing about both of them being far more fit than me, they didn't let me forget it. For some reason, they seemed to take offense to the fact that I was riding up front. I could see why. The front two rows were filled with the very strongest, fittest people. The let's take a selfie sort of gym people. Except these ones seemed actually fit. At the same time, all the other super hot girls and guys, especially the guys, were very nice to me and didn't seem to care that I rode up front. Whereas Valerie and Boris would always shoot these sideward, disgusted glances at me, or smirk. I'm not a confrontational person, so I wouldn't do the thing most would do in that situation, such as say, the F is your problem, jerk. I always got to class super early to dress up and adjust my bike. The gym has a policy, first come, first serve when it comes to choosing one of the 30 bikes in the studio. I noticed a lot of other people show up early who were also clearly less fit than the stars that occupied the first couple of rows, but they seemed to self-segregate in the very back. I was still new as it was my first couple of weeks, so I sat up front because I was still finding my rhythm. I'd sit right up front where the instructor told me so that I could watch him and he could watch me. Every time he would come in, he would greet me enthusiastically and praise me for my commitment to fitness. It was little wonder his class was so popular. Everyone held him in high regard. Sometimes in class, he would shout encouragements to the class as a whole, but also give personal shoutouts to certain students. Despite the darkness of the room, when the instructor said, "Great job there, OP, you're killing it," I noticed both Boris and Valerie give each other a look and shake their heads, laughing. I never knew for sure why Valerie hated me, but I think it might be because we were both Russian and no one else who went to that early class seemed to be. And she wanted to be the only Eastern European girl? Who knows? As for Boris, he followed Valerie because he wanted to get into her pants. Boris and Valerie usually showed up right when class was starting, and the whole place was packed. And yet they were so entitled that there were always 2 bikes up front, right next to each other, reserved for them. Despite the crowd, at 5:30 a.m., there were still a couple of empty bikes in the middle or back. But that wasn't good enough for them. I'd be right in the front row too. I got there early, and it was my right to sit wherever I please. And yet, despite them showing up at the last second, they shake their heads at me like I'm the one who's got a lot of nerve. Well, this goes on day after day for a whole month. And despite the fact that I'm no longer new and I'm starting to get more fit and don't really need the instructor so much just to survive the hour on the bike, I still sit up front. I thought maybe the particular bike that I was selecting had some significance to Valerie or Boris, and that's why they copped such an attitude all the time. I always rode on the same bike. By this time, I was a bit chummy with a lot of the other women and knew their names, and we'd hug in the morning. I thought I should make peace with Valerie, if not Boris. Always sort of gave me a, "I hate you because Valerie hates you, but if there was no Valerie, I'd totally go out with you vibe." So when I saw Valerie that morning, as usual, she showed up right when the class started and sat next to me. I politely asked, "Was this your bike before and you were used to it? We can trade if you like." She rolls her eyes at me and gives Boris a look. And like a donkey, he smiles. She actually says, "You should sit in the back. We're motivating people up here and you're hogging the mirror space." There was a whole wall mirror in front of the classroom. I'm thinking, what is this, high school? What the actual F? You've got to be 30 effing years old and you're acting like this? And seriously, you may be fitter than me, but I'm just as tall and don't weigh any more than you do, or take up any more space in the mirror, and it wouldn't matter even if I did. We're adults, or at least I am. Sigh, that's what I wish I said. Instead, I just put my head down and went on with my class. Eventually, I got so familiar with the other students because the same regulars would come to class every day that we all became social media friends. I even became social media friends with the instructor. I don't post much on social media. I don't show where I work, or every single thing I do, or my random friends. I just post the occasional photo. On one of these rare photos, I was admittedly begging for a private bill of cat. The instructor himself commented how proud he was. Other people from spin class also said nice things. I was friends neither with Valerie nor Boris on social media, but they both liked the instructor's comment on the photo. And my guess is because they both liked to kiss his butt. They certainly never showed me any kindness in class, unlike everyone else who was supportive.
Go fucking kill yourself.
And my suspicions were confirmed. Both of them practically lived on social media and took endless selfies, showed off their bodies, humble bragged non-stop. They also made no secret of who their employers were. Valerie tried to claim she was a model, even though it was clear her only real job was being a sales rep for a beauty brand. Valerie was only a model in the "take a picture of yourself using your iPhone in front of the bathroom mirror" sense. So, Valerie, I guess that makes me a model too. These two were such idiots that they post really dumb things on each other's walls. It didn't seem like they really had lives other than to talk trash against people. I saw that they had one exchange where they were clearly talking about me How do I know? Because they actually said my name and said that I was ugly and a wannabe and skinny and all this other horrible garbage. They also talked a lot about and said horrible things and actually named names. It doesn't seem like they were even the very fit people. In some cases, even the better they were social and some of the other teachers on the schedule. And with each other, but not with anyone else. Anyway, I actually confirmed my suspicion that Boris was low-key thirsty. After the spin instructor made a nice comment on my picture, and Boris saw that I existed online, he sent me a private message asking me to go for coffee sometime. I ignored the message, which is just as well, because the next time in class, he ignored me and just followed Valerie's normal smirk and whoosh routine. I don't like to start drama, but I don't like being bullied and trashed either. I screen captured and saved a lot of Valerie's and Boris's comments where they trashed at least a dozen people in our class, and a dummy Facebook account. I fired off every screen capture to the owner of the studio. Not just the manager of that particular branch, but the owner of the company in addition. I let them know that these people were trashing many of the class and creating a hostile environment. I also accidentally screen captures where Boris and Valerie specific people in the class
I want to find that dude so I can pet the fucking pet.
both had their memberships revoked and were banned from every one of the brand studios. Several of the people that Valerie insulted were sufficiently offended that they sent emails to Valerie's employer. Valerie, as previously mentioned, made no secret about what a hateful, body-shaming person she was, and how such a person should not be any kind of brand ambassador. From what the other girls in the studio tell me, Valerie got fired from her job. Don't worry, Valerie. You still have your model taking selfies in your department. I had the pleasure of seeing some of the less patient, fun dudes in class who didn't find it amusing that Boris was telling Valerie on Facebook that he could kick anyone's butt in class. Openly offered to let him test his theory. Anytime, anywhere. Unfortunately, Boris was too occupied up front getting his membership canceled, being refunded, and being told to never come back, please, to make such arrangements. See ya, butthole. Boris had a wannabe, unlicensed personal training business that he talked about on Facebook, and several of the men in class who had legit training certificates shut him down with the quickness. There's always Starbucks. Maybe I'll go for coffee sometime and buy it from Borisista. As for me, I still show up early, but I usually find my comfort zone in row 2 now, or even further back. There's always new students, and I like for them to sit right up front so they can feel welcome. That's what it's meant to be in a fitness community. Everyone's welcome. This isn't some kind of high school cafeteria. You can't sit with us. BS. I honestly hope Boris and Valerie grew up. I low-key hope they marry because they deserve each other. Though I also hope they don't breed because that much narcissism from two parents will result in a kid with lots of issues. Koigon down in the comments sums up all of my thoughts quite nicely. I don't remember who said it or I'd provide a link, but somebody said, mocking overweight people at the gym is like mocking alcoholics in Alcoholics Anonymous. What kind of garbage human do you have to be to make fun of people who are trying to improve themselves? Look at that loser trying to get healthy and get in shape. What a poser. Our next Reddit post is from Gamers Eat Bacon. Here's some backstory. I have a 4-year-old Cocker Spaniel named Charlie, and he likes to poop. I let him out in my front garden every morning for his toilet routine. Same in the evening. We don't have a boundary fence on where my garden and my neighbors start, besides a row of bushes. Saying this, Charlie hasn't ever crossed or pooped past these bushes. Now, every week, I collect up said poop before it gets into a disturbing amount. I've been doing this for the past 4 years to keep my front garden looking good and not smelly. One day, I came home from work to find that my neighbors weren't happy that there was dog poop in my front garden. I instantly went to collect up what was there. There wasn't much, and it was nowhere near the boundary of where our gardens meet. Fast forward a week. My neighbor again complained about the dog poop being in my garden. However, this time threatened to hurt my dog if he continued to poop in my garden. This time, I wasn't so nice about it and stated that it's my garden and my dog can do as he pleases. Now, I know dog poop can be annoying, but when it's not in your garden and there's no smell due to decent airflow and an open front garden, is it really justified to threaten a man's dog over some poop? Anyway, after months of this, with petty things and shade being thrown at me every day about having a dog, I decided to declare war on my neighbors. Now, I know these people pretty well. They just moved in, and we let them use our Wi-Fi for a couple of months until they got their spot. I picked up a few things about them, and one of them was how OCD they were. They cut their back garden every week and painted the entire bottom layer of the house to match their fence. This was all the fuel I needed to exact my revenge. My first step was to start off small. I knew they liked things to match, so I painted my fence gate bright pink instead of matching it with my fence. This was my first small victory. They hated it so much, they begged me to correct the color. So I did. I figured if peace was an option, it was worthwhile. Then began the hate again. I had to come up with something so evil and yet genius that it couldn't be traced back to me. This is when I planted over 5,000 dandelion seeds in their front and back garden. I figured I was in this for the long game. I did this under the cover of night and made sure to plant them in places not easily mowed. Fast forward 3 months and their garden was covered in weeds. They grew through all the sludge. It took them about 3 days to clear the weeds and around 100 pounds of weed. To me, this is a good story, but I feel like this is more r/petty revenge than r/petty revenge. But I do leave the props for sticking up. That was r/revenge.
Go fucking kill yourself because you're a fucking bitch.
Because I put out welcome to r/insane parents, where parents are so nutty that even entitled parents start to look normal. My hyper-religious grandparents think there is an evil spirit living in my Xbox. My grandparents are staying with my family for the summer, and it's been torture. I'm 16, and I play a lot of Halo. Yesterday, while my parents weren't home, these mother effers barged into my room, yelling at me to get off my Xbox because, quote, the spirit of Satan is tempting you through these devices. This is the second time they've done this in a week, and this time they tried to effing hide my controller in my mother's bedroom. I wish I'd recorded it because it was funny watching these old turds go mad over a gaming console. I guess this is what I get for using Xbox and not a PC, lol. OP, you need to stop playing Halo and start playing Doom. Am I the butthole for forcing my son out of his first relationship because his girlfriend is overweight? I grew up in a very strict family where we were all on strict diets, had a basic exercise routine, and were active at least 2 hours a day. My wife and I have decided to enforce those rules on our kids. It's been that way ever since they were born. My son is 14 years old, and my 2 daughters are 7 and 8. Of course, I let my kids have their free time, but they seem to not have a problem with our daily routine to stay in shape. My son recently got his very first girlfriend. I've told him before that he needs a healthy girl to be his partner. I completely understand that he loves her, and I want my son to be happy. But he is completely going against our rules and how our family functions. I truly do want my son to be happy, but health is the #1 most important thing to us. I was afraid that his girlfriend's body weight would encourage the same negative behavior onto my son, so I ended the relationship. I do kind of feel bad, but at the same time, he broke the rules of our family. I cannot tolerate something like that. So tell me, Reddit, am I the butthole? Insane parents, health is the most important thing to my family. Also insane parents. Mental health? What's that? Text message from mom. Your uniform will be outside on the lawn. You want to make me suffer by not helping me with shopping for food and smokes, then I will make your life unbearable. All you had to do was transfer me the rent 4 days earlier, and now your cost of living per week is going to double because of a selfish, righteous decision. Your rent will and could be up to $300 per week. That's without food, power, water, and all other living costs. And you want to effing preach to me about what I bought. I knew I was never meant to have a baby. And if you're wondering what the kid is preaching to the mother about her buying, it's drugs. She's buying drugs. We have been unschooled for going on 5 years now. With that said, my older two, 10 and 11 years old, have completely stopped trying to learn anything. I also have a 5-year-old, and so far, he's been doing great learning things on his own. But my older two just stopped progressing altogether. They don't help clean at all. They won't do anything to further their education or knowledge, and have fallen far behind their peers in most aspects when they have been advanced 5 years ago. I'm due with my board in February, and have tried to convey that I will need their help once the new school comes, and also tried to explain the importance of them becoming very interested. But all they seem to do is play, which I have no issue with at all. Video games, which causes a lot of frustration on the parts of my 5 and 10-year-olds, because when they don't succeed, they have full-on meltdowns that include hurting themselves and destroying things, and fighting/bickering. My 5-year-old has started hitting all of us and screaming when things don't go his way, despite us never using physical punishments of any kind, and explaining how much it hurts us when he hits or screams at us. My boys are severely underweight because they refuse to eat most of the time unless it's covered in sugar. They would rather starve than eat any food I make or suggest. All 3 of my kids have had most of their teeth either pulled or needed fillings because their teeth are rotting from not eating enough. Not brushing off the I work part-time and my husband is currently working 2 jobs. When my kids are at my parents' house when I work, they eat and behave, according to my parents. But my parents also ask they do schoolwork at their house because they don't believe in unschooling and prefer we homeschool with curriculum, etc. It's been extremely difficult emotionally, and I'm worried what might happen when baby comes if we can't get everyone in the same book, let alone on the same page in my house. My husband is becoming very upset with our kids' lack of caring about their health or want to further their education, despite weekly trips to the library for them to get whatever books and videos they want. I'm not sure what this post is for, other than needing some advice and reassurance my kids won't end up unable to take care of themselves as adults. We have endless resources for them to peruse, whatever their interests may be. But if I left them to do as they please every day, it would be a non-stop YouTube marathon of my kids watching other families enjoy their lives or play video games. Think Hobby Kids TV, FGTV, Dan TDM, Dennis, Cookie Swirl C, r/, etc. Honestly, the problem is really obvious. You can't let your kids watch YouTube. YouTube is a black hole that destroys lives. Anyone who watches YouTube videos is a complete loser, and they need to get offline immediately. Do you think you can lend me and Daddy $600 until next Friday? We were approved for a car, but we have to put down $1,100. We only have $500. Won't have the rest until next Friday. $600? I don't even have $600. Oh, you should have a lot of money. Stop spending. The most I have is $300. Boy, how are you gonna ask me for money and tell me to stop spending? That conversation roughly went as follows. Hey, give me money. I don't have any money. I can't believe you aren't more responsible with your money so that I can spend your money. I have a big prayer request. My husband and mother-in-law have my oldest daughter with them at their house. They got her 4 vaccines today without asking me. I am anti-vaccines. Please pray she will be okay. Have your kids always been okay after vaccine shots? Vaccines don't cause autism. Vaccines cause adults. In this next post, Opie is going to an Iron Maiden concert, and he's almost 30. I just looked at the Iron Maiden website and a video. is straight from the devil. My heart just keeps breaking over and over. Mom, it's just an 80s metal band. Dad has their cassettes in the basement from when he used to listen to them. It's fine. He said he didn't know, but I don't know. I will look. I just know that I watched the video, The Number of the Beast, and it is sickening. It is not fine. Just the picture alone on their website is sickening. Praying for your mind, eyes, and ears for what the concert is going to do to you. I can't believe that Iron Maiden is corrupting completely innocent 30-year-old men. To the lady at Costco with her son on a leash, I'm sorry that I asked if he was a rescue. The profanity wasn't necessary, but thank you for not sicking him on me. No, you misunderstand. I'm not leashing my child because I'm lazy. This is my seeing eye baby. Dishes done by 3 p.m., okay? I get home at 3. Is 3:15 okay? If I look on the cameras and they aren't done by 3, there will be consequences. I can't have them done that fast. It's 3 now and the dishes aren't done. That's a day of no tech. Lady, what the heck? How is he supposed to do the dishes if he's not even home yet? If you want to be my mom friend, you gotta vaccinate your kids. Fine, I don't want your friendship. I only want my children around intelligent kids anyways. Not eczema, OCD, ADD, and the multiple spectrums of autism, including nonverbal. I think I'll be just fine. So will my healthy children. The user John Wick University said it best in regards to unvaccinated children. They won't stay healthy, but they will stay children. In this next post, OP paid his mom between $500 and $750 a month to live at home. And then he got sick of it and left. Enter these text messages. A lot of people in this town know and how you ruined my Easter. Just remember, word gets around in a small town. All right, you smart butt mother effer. I already know the truth. You're not getting your laptop back. I'm getting rid of it. Good luck getting financial aid for college because you need my personal information. And I won't give it to you. And you or nobody can make me. I wish I wouldn't have done anything for you your whole life. Because now you ain't nothing but a piece of garbage. A waste of time and a waste of God's creativity. You'll never get anything from me the rest of your life. Does anybody else find it a little bit disturbing for someone's mom to call her a mother? On this post, OP went for a walk at 10 p.m. and this is a text message from his mom. I want to go out for a walk. I need some fresh air. What? I want to go for a walk. To smoke drugs? Can I go out for a walk? No. For a bloody walk? To get some fresh air? You don't ever walk. I do. Drugs, alcohol, or fast food. Lady, maybe he just wanted to get away from you. I could really use help raising the money for my boob job. I am saving every penny and buying myself nothing until I reach my goal. If every one of my Facebook friends donates just $2, I'll reach my goals. Thanks in advance. And then this lady has her children hold up signs. Please help our mom get boobs. She looks like our dad. Lady, you don't need a boob job. You need a psych evaluation. My dad just slapped me effing hard because I didn't cry at a relative's funeral. They were never a close relative, but I'd spoken to them a couple of times. I went to the funeral and all that, and I was a bit upset, but I didn't cry. I just tend not to at death for some reason. It's just how I handle them. When the funeral had finished and we got back into the car, he effing slapped me with all he had and went on a rant about how disrespectful it was. My head is absolutely throbbing. Now, a few days later, it still hurts quite a bit. Update, he got home from work and I talked to him about it. He said that most people were crying, so why wasn't I? That was his reason. So I replied, I didn't know them that well. And now I'm barred to my room for the rest of the day. Hopefully my mom can talk some sense into him. I've sent her a text. So, to the dad in this story. Maybe the reason why Opie doesn't cry at funerals is because he's been fantasizing about your death for years. On this next post, this is an insane.
Can you not be a fucking bitch?
Blank. Promise for the 2019 to 2020 year to 1. Maintain at least a 3.5 GPA each semester. 2. Refrain from drinking any alcoholic beverages for any reason, except communion. 3. No smoking, juuling, or vaporizing any substance of any kind. Tobacco, weed, or any other organic or inorganic substance. 4. Attend church weekly, at least a 90% attend rate per semester. 5. Refrain from having passionate hugging of any type, oral, etc. If I am found to have violated any terms of this contract, I will forfeit my loan and you are released from continuing to fund my education. I will be asked regularly whether I am fulfilling the obligations of this contract, and any lying will also cause me to forfeit my loan and funding. As someone who's been to college, I read this contract a very different way. I, blank, promise to lie to my parents throughout my entire college career. To the lady living at this address, I also live in this neighborhood and have a problem. You have a kid that is mentally handicapped, and you consciously decided that it would be a good idea to live in a close proximity neighborhood like this? You selfishly put your kid outside every day and let him be nothing but a nuisance and a problem to everyone else with that noise polluting wailing he constantly makes. That noise he makes when he is outside is dreadful. It scares the heck out of my normal children. When you feel your idiot kid needs fresh air, take him to our park, you dope. We have a nature trail. Let him run around those places and make noise. Crying babies, music, and even barking dogs are normal sounds in a residential neighborhood. He is not. He is a hindrance to everyone and will always be that way. Who the heck is going to care for him? No employer will hire him. No normal girl is going to marry/love him. And you are not going to live forever. Personally, they should take whatever non-R-word body parts he possesses and donate it to science. What the heck else good is he to anyone? You have an R-word kid. Deal with it properly. What right do you have to do this to hard-working people? I hate people like you who believe just because you have a special needs kid, you are entitled to special treatment. God. Do everyone in our community a huge favor and move. That moose, scram. Move away and get out of this type of neighborhood setting. Go live in a trailer in the woods or something with your wild animal kid. Nobody wants you living here and they don't have the guts to tell you. Do the right thing and move or euthanize him. Either way, we are all better off. Sincerely, one pissed off mother. So this lady says, nobody wants you living here and they don't have the guts to tell you. And then signs the letter anonymously. What a coward. That was r/insane parents. And if you like this video, hit the subscribe button for more daily. Welcome to r/entitled parents, where an entitled mother demands that someone hand over a loaded firearm to her precious baby. So, I work at a grocery store. I'm also 24 years old, but my family has chronic baby face. This is important to the story. It's my day off, and I wanted to get some chores done in the garage with my dog. But the garage has a major spider infestation. So, I run to the store I work at for dog shampoo and bug killer. I then pass the beer aisle and think to myself how awesome a nice beer would be after I get all my work done, and pick out a couple single bottles of brands I've been meaning to try
Not
out.
eating anything.
Behind me, I hear someone loudly exclaim,
Notice it.
"Ahem." I look behind me
that
and
was
see a woman
food.
with a full
No.
carton
I was like, are you
baby in
squishing
the
hot
seat.
Cheetos or
I assume
something?
I must have been in her way, as I did have earbuds
How was
in.
work?
I take a while to read the labels when I decide to try a new beer. Oh, sorry, I say, moving out of the way. You're not old enough to buy that, are
I was
you?
literally taking
She
every
scoffs.
single order back to back
Yes,
to back to back.
I am.
I
I
was
know I
literally
look
saying,
really young.
thank you for
I
choosing
get a lot.
Sonic, thank you for choosing
Don't
Sonic. Oh
lie
my god,
to
I wanna
me.
get
I
one.
have 3 boys. 2 of them are teens. I I know what you kids get up to. She then points to the bug killer in my cart. And I bet you're getting that to get high off, aren't you? Miss, I'm old enough. It's my day off work, and I'm getting some stuff done like killing spiders in my garage, giving my dogs a bath, and then relaxing with a nice beer. Then show me your ID. No. Then you're lying. Lady, I don't need to show you my ID unless you're a cop or an employee here. It has my private information on it. She huffs and looks around, possibly for an employee or someone else to back her up. But no one was around, so I just leave. A few minutes later, I'm at checkout in the self-scan. And guess who I see again? Entitled Mother. She glares at me again
What?
and watches as I scan the beers and then wait for the employee to clear me for it. When the employee walks up, Entitled Mother loudly says, "You better check his ID. He's underage." The employee just kind of looks dumbfounded at her. Miss, he works here. I know for a fact he's over 21. I sold him beer before. Entitled Mother goes quiet. She probably wasn't expecting that I did, in fact, work here. She scoffs and says, "Well, can't ever be too careful these days," and walks off. The employee and I have a laugh as she scans my ID, and then I pay for myself. So, this entitled parent's kids apparently try to get high by sniffing poison? Those are some grade A genes you got there, lady. Our next Reddit post is from King B Man. I'm at the park with my daughter and girlfriend, helping her play on the slide, as cute kid is running around with a stranger's kid, playing with a fake gun and finger guns. Now, I'm trying to make it a personal habit to always carry my gun with me wherever I go. I fully conceal it as much as possible, but I'm guessing when I reached up to put my baby girl on the slide, it must have revealed it. Cause next thing I know, I feel a tug in my shirt with my gun in, so I quickly turn around and do as follows. "What's up, little buddy?" The cute kid says. "Well, you your gun, you're putting out with he doesn't have one." He points to his gun. "Oh no, sorry, pal. I had this with me, but it's the cute kid looks angry, so he wants to shoot my butts off. Over? I hope, but no. Soon I hear what? Why can't my kid play with your toy? What? The toy gun on your hip? No, sorry. This is a... I proceed to check to make sure it's still hidden under my shirt, and it is. So just take the bullets out and let him play with it.
What? I haven't had lunch yet.
I never. What's the harm of him playing with it? It's unlovely. I'm sure you have gun you have
Ellie?
with. Don't you have someone else's business to mind?
Okay.
I'm going to
Thank
call
you.
the police because you have a gun at a park. Go right ahead. It's a public place. She helps the doors off, not to be heard from again. It was an annoying encounter that put a damper on my already sour day. So when the entire mother says, "What the hell? If it's unloaded." Exactly the harm. Step 1. Police? Yes, there's a child here on the playground with a real gun. Step 2. Son, this is the police. Put that gun down.
Go fuck
Step
yourself.
3. Put your hands up, mister. Pew, pew, pew. And at that exact moment, that police officer has to make a decision. Does he shoot a kid who's pointing a real gun at him, or does he risk getting shot himself? Our next Reddit post is from SSG.
Jaden, can I use the milk for cereal? Just don't drink okay.
story is in order. I have two young adult children living at home, ages 18 and 19. They both work and go to college. I trust my kids. I trust their decision-making skills. When they graduated high school and turned 18, new rules went into place. No curfew. Just call me and let me know if you're going to be out all night, so I don't worry. You can call me at any time for a pickup. No questions asked. Just don't be stupid and drink and drive. Yes, your significant other can sleep over or come over for the weekend. Just let me know what's going on. Pay me a small rent during the summer full time. Pay your part of the car insurance. You have your chores and I have mine. We all work together. I tell them that if they're big buttholes and they listen, in turn, I listen to them. There is very little fighting or arguing in my house. This is their time to spread their wings and to learn how to be a responsible adult and have me as a safety net. Lately, one of my kids' significant others has been spending a lot of time over at my house. He's here pretty much all the time. 2 days ago, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize and I answered it. It was my daughter's boyfriend's mother. Hello? You need to tell my kitty isn't allowed over your house anymore. Who is this? This is Tommy's mother. I already know where this is going. Oh, Tommy's mom. I have to say you raised a great kid. He is always polite and respectful. In fact, look, I don't care what you think about my kid. He is never at home. He isn't spending any time with me. Okay, there isn't much I can do about that. Yes, there is. Tell him he can't come over to your house anymore. I want him home. And you said a bad son, your daughter has no curfew, and I am sick and tired hearing how nice it is at your house. I miss him and want him home. Me, speaking very slowly and basically growling into the phone. Are you done yelling at me? I think I stunned her into silence. I'll take that as a yes. Do you trust the way you raised your son? What? It's a simple question. Do you trust the way you raised your son? Of course I do. What does that have to do with anything? Do you trust him to make good decisions? Yes, of course. She's starting to calm down now. Mother to mother, I know things are not okay in your house right now. I am trying to give your child a safe place when things are not okay at your house. She starts to cut me off at this point, but I won't let her. It's not your fault. He throws your son out for days at a time, doesn't he? Yes. I can hear her choking back the tears. Do you need someone to talk to? Would you want to go out to lunch? That way, you can feel safer knowing whose house your son is at and that he's safe. That would be okay. We were on the phone for about an hour after that. What started out as an entitled mother was just a scared woman feeling very, very alone. Sorry there wasn't any righteous retribution, but I think it turned out okay. I'm gonna try to get 19-year-old Tommy's curfew changed from 10 p.m. to midnight, and maybe he can stay over for a weekend. This post goes to show that maybe all entitled parents are just misunderstood, and deep down, they're good people. Nah. That was r/entitled parent, and I'm r/. Welcome to r/pro revenge, where revenge is a dish best served frozen. Okay, so this story took place back when I was in Florida in the early 90s. It does involve an act of vandalism that is connected to revenge. Hopefully it won't be removed, and hopefully it'll count as nuclear revenge. Anyway, South Florida was devastated by Hurricane Andrew. My dad, as part of a local charity, set up day after day at a local market seeking donations from shoppers to give to families. You have to understand, the storm left many people homeless and without power in some cases for 6 months in Florida heat and humidity. My father was legally disabled from a serious car accident. He was hit by a drunk driver in the early 80s and suffered from relentless hip and back problems. It never killed his heart or kindness to others, hence the charity work. One day, he was about to pull into the disabled space of the local market to go buy a few items to donate to the hurricane charity. Right before he is about to pull in, this lady pulls into the space in this shiny red Porsche. My dad parks behind her and says, "Excuse me, ma'am, I was about to pull in there," and also points to his disabled placard in the window. She says to him, "You don't look disabled," and proceeded to walk into the store. For anyone who has a relative who uses a disabled space, you know the frustration of this situation and the anger one feels. My dad, seemingly unfazed, waits until she goes into the store, and then gets out and snips the valve stems on all 4 tires, flattening but not destroying all of them. He then pulls into another space not far away and just waits. About 15 minutes later, the lady comes out and is shrieking about her car being vandalized. My dad is far enough away that she can't see, but he can hear.
Oh my god, go fucking kill yourself.
Big mistake. She files a report for vandalism, and the police give her a ticket for being parked in the disabled space with no placard. About $250 at the time. The cops leave, and she calls the tow truck. As the car is being loaded into the truck, my dad pulls up and says to her, "You don't look disabled, but your car sure is," and then drives off. My dad could be a nice guy and pure savage when he needed to be. Our next Reddit post is from a long string of numbers, and this story is a long one, but man is it a good one. 4 years ago now, when I was 24, my mom died of breast cancer, and as both my grandparents also had died of it, I saw a specialist for screening. I found out I had some cells in one of my breasts that could have turned cancerous in a few months. I was told I had a few options. One, I could have regular screenings every 3 to 4 months until it does develop into cancer. I was told the risk of the cells becoming cancerous was very high due to family history, but it could also potentially never turn into cancer, so I'd just be getting these screenings for no reason. 2, I could get a single mastectomy on the breast with the bad cells, but they need to keep an eye on the other ones, so I'd still need regular checkups for the other breast. 3, I could get a bilateral mastectomy and remove all of my breast tissue, basically eliminating the risk. I went for the bilateral mastectomy. It was admittedly the most drastic option, but after seeing what cancer did to my mom and grandparents, I was warned about scarring, but told it should be fairly minor. It wasn't, and I was left with 2 jagged scars on either side of my chest, each about an inch long and half an inch wide, and it caused me to go into severe depression, where it got to the stage of me not even leaving my flat because I didn't want people to see me throwing out my mirrors and getting physically sick looking at myself. I went to a therapist who suggested a plastic surgeon. The therapist said they normally never do that, but it was clearly something I was struggling with. I might never get over it, and the therapist could see why I struggled with it. Although, I'll admit, the therapist did send me to ask about scar reduction. The plastic surgeon suggested a cream, a laser, or implants. The cream didn't work, and the laser was both expensive and risky, so I went with the implants. My natural boobs were an F cup, so I went with a slightly smaller double D. Since then, my mental health has improved, and I feel a lot better about the way I look. My confidence has gone up, as has my self-esteem. I know I shouldn't put so much into my appearance, but I wasn't exaggerating about these scars. Huge, bright pink, jagged, raised, just really awful to look at, and I hated seeing myself. And they are now nicely hidden. In the present day, I'm 28 years old. I'm doing a lot better than I was. My coworker, Jill, found out I'd had a boob job, but not the cancer thing. When myself and my friend from years before the second went on holiday, and she made a joke about me going to my implant.
Go fucking kill yourself. All I'm trying to do is get fucking apples.
Office knew I'd had a boob job, but not why. And half a dozen people confirmed Jill had told them. Over the next few months, Jill made many jokes and comments about my chest to coworkers when I was in earshot. At one point, saying I had more plastic than Barbie, and calling me fake in 2 ways. I didn't hear this one myself, but a friend in the office told me that Jill had at one point referred to me as a sack of silicone. I don't know what her problem was exactly, but at one point she mentioned the National Health Service. So I assumed Jill thought thought I got my breasts done for free on taxpayer money. I'd gotten a mastectomy at NHS, but gone private for therapy and implants. I'd asked her to stop more than once, but unfortunately the places I talked to her were places like the lift and the women's bathroom, where there weren't any cameras. And Jill just kept making comments no matter how often I asked her not to. I wouldn't say it was every single day, but I heard at least 3 comments a week for 3 months. I hit my breaking point when me, Jill, and a few other coworkers were having lunch. I referred to something as being shallow, and Jill said, "You know all about being shallow," while gesturing to my chest. I snapped. I said, "Do you know why I have these? A few years ago, the doctors found potentially cancerous cells in my breast tissue. I was advised to get a mastectomy and was left with huge, ugly scars on my chest. I went to see a therapist who sent me to a cosmetic surgeon who advised me to get implants to hide the scars. And I did it just so I could look at myself in the mirror without crying. So maybe next time you want to judge someone for having cosmetic surgery, you should ask them why they had it first." And feeling like that was a mic drop moment, I picked up my food and left. For the rest of the day, I had about 1/3 of my office come up to offer me support, and the rest tell me that Jill was just joking around and I was being a jerk. I replied that Jill was being a jerk long before I was. I then got an email from HR saying they wanted to talk to me the following day, and when I called for clarification, they mentioned a hostile work environment. Note, this is apparently an American term and holds little weight in England, but it's what was said over the phone. I knew the person who signed off the email and I had spoken to. Her name was Debbie, and she was Jill's friend in HR, so I was fairly confident on who had reported me. I realized that if this was already being sent to HR, I needed as much ammunition as possible, so I went about collecting my information. Since Debbie had dealt with me so far, it was safe to assume she would be the person reviewing the complaint with me. And if that was true, I was screwed. However, I vaguely remembered a section on complaints that was in my contract when I first signed with the company. There was a part of the section that said I was contractually allowed to request a change of reviewer if I felt my allocated reviewer was biased. It was called an impartial overseer. I photocopied the page and highlighted that part. Then I messaged the people who had offered their support over Facebook and basically said, HR has asked to see me. Do any of you remember Jill insulting me to your face, and are you willing to write and sign something saying what you heard and when? Not everyone was willing to help, as Jill is somewhat feared in the office due to her befriending HR and management, but about 20 people were willing to help me. I got to work slightly early the next morning. I went around to everyone who had messaged me, and most of them managed to give me a printed and signed letter. Some didn't manage to write one, but no big deal. This isn't the exact wording, as there's 16 letters to sum up, but here was the gist. My name is Blank. I work with Jill, Blank, and OP. On a certain date and time, approximately, I spoke with Jill Blank, during which she referred to OP as the quoted insult. I felt this was inappropriate, as it directly related to OP's appearance, and I'm willing to go on record to further establish that Jill Blank has been discussing OP in the workplace in the same manner for 3 months now, causing me discomfort and creating what I feel is a hostile work environment. Signed, Blank. I wound up with about 16 letters, all from different people, and one of them was in the lunchroom for my conversation with Jill. Some even had bullet-pointed lists of everything Jill had said to them about me or other people.
Damn it.
As it turns out, Jill has issues with a lot of people's appearances. She apparently made comments about one coworker's weight and apparently something anti-Semitic about a different coworker's nose, all of which were put in these letters. There are about 45 people in the office, so while 16 wasn't the majority, it's still a decent amount. The letters weren't hugely long. Most were only a paragraph, but they had all the necessary information. I was asked to come to HR at 10 a.m. I took the letters from coworkers, the photocopy of the page in my contract,
I finally got that done.
and a little folder with me. I got there, and Debbie was the one overseeing the interview. She got up from her desk, ready to lead me into another room. I immediately turned to the other HR worker that was currently there and said, "So, what do you then?" Debbie said, "No, you're with me." I replied that this wouldn't sit well with me, as my contract states I have a right to an impartial overseer. And as I said this, I took the contract page out of my folder. Debbie read it. I wouldn't let her take the paper when there was a shredder so close by, and she said she could be impartial. I replied that I really didn't mean to be a pain, but I had it on good authority that the person on the other end of this complaint is her friend, and my contract does say I'm allowed an impartial overseer. Debbie stomped off to get the supervisor. The supervisor asks how I know she can't be impartial, and I tell him that I have it on good authority that Jill, who was on the other end of this complaint, is a close friend of Debbie. He asked Debbie if this was true, to which she only replied, "I can be impartial." Supervisor took a deep breath, asked the other HR rep to come with him, and the four of us all went to review the complaints. I thank them for being so accommodating. I was worried I'd annoyed them. Debbie took out the complaint, and all three of them went through it with me. Debbie looked homicidal the whole time the interview was happening, as she had clearly anticipated firing me, or at least recommended me for being fired. The interview went something like this. It took like over half an hour, and they kept asking me the same questions, but phrased different ways, so this is a really drastically condensed version. You said outside that you think Jill reported you. Why is this? Jill has had an issue with me for about 3 months now. Why didn't you come to us when you realized Jill had an issue? I had no issue with her. What issue does Jill have with you? Then OP describes everything that happens with the breast implants. Why do you feel this is true? Here's 16 signed statements, all from different coworkers, all testifying that Jill told the entire office I had breast implants on the day she found out, and has since made comments about these implants frequently. They have quotes about what Jill said to them about it, and rough dates and times. Rough dates and times? No one knew this would be escalated to such an extent, so no one really took note as to when it happened. What event or events do you think directly led to this complaint of harassment? For me, harassment began when Jill told everyone about my breast implants without my consent. But as to the complaint against me, it would probably be what happened to me at lunchtime yesterday in the lunchroom. Jill made a comment about me being a shadow of my breast, and relevant history, ending with a comment about the importance of getting the full story. There are cameras in the lunchroom, so I'm sure you'll be able to find the conversation. I'll admit, I could have handled the situation better, but after 3 months, I felt I had to put my foot down. Here's a list of names of people who were also present. There were 6 people at the table, including myself and Jill. One of these people is also in those letters and has written their account on the conversation and signed it. Had you had a conversation with Jill prior to this regarding her comments about you? Several, spaced out over the last 3 months. Each time I communicated to her that I felt uncomfortable and upset with these comments she was making and would appreciate it if she were to stop. To your knowledge, was Jill made aware of your former cancer at any point in this time? No, it wasn't mentioned in the conversation with my friend she overheard, and I didn't tell her because, frankly, it's none of her business. And I didn't feel the need to detail my medical history to a coworker in order to avoid further sexual harassment. The supervisor stands up and says, "Well, I think we're done here." He shakes my hand and sends me back to my desk, saying I'd hear from them after they'd reviewed the evidence. Letters, CCTV, medical history, and anything they had already, and made a decision on the case. I got back to my desk, pulled up my resume, and prepared to start the job search again. About an hour goes by. Then, the person who wrote the letter and was there for the lunchroom conversation gets called for a meeting with HR. They come back about 10 minutes later. The other people who were also there for the lunchroom conversation get called one by one, except Jill. All of them are gone for about 10 minutes, then come back, find a coworker, and say that HR wants to see them. Then, the people who wrote letters but weren't there yesterday are also called one by one and are each gone for about 10 minutes each. Some longer, some shorter. By about 3:30, it looks like everyone who wrote a letter or was there in the lunchroom had been interviewed. Then, Finally, Jill gets called in. She's gone for about 30 minutes and comes back angry. She glares at me while I work, but I ignore her. At around 4:30, Jill gets called into HR again. 5 p.m. rolls around. Everyone is either leaving or getting ready to leave. When Jill storms back into the office, she glares at me the whole time she packs up her desk. She then starts telling anyone who will listen that I got her fired for shoving her way onto the lift. An email comes in from HR. My case is closed. So, OP, it sounds like Jill fell for your booby trap? That was r/pro revenge. If you like this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button for more. Welcome to r/entitled parents, where an entitled mother demands that someone hand over a loaded firearm to her precious baby. So, I work at a grocery store. I'm also 24 years old, but my family has chronic baby face. This is important to the story. It's my day off, and I wanted to get some chores done, like clean the garage and give my dog a bath. But I'm out of dog shampoo, and the garage has a major spider infestation. So I run to the store I work at for dog shampoo and bug killer. I then pass the beer aisle and think to myself how awesome a nice beer would be after I get all my work done, and pick out a couple single bottles of brands I've been meaning to try out. Behind me, I hear someone loudly exclaim, "Ahem!" I look behind me and see a woman with a blue card and a baby in the seat. I assume I was sitting
Go fucking kill yourself.
She then points to the bug killer in my card. And I think you're getting that to get high off, aren't you? Miss, I'm old enough. It's my day at work, and I'm getting some stuff done like killing spiders in my garage, giving my dogs a bath, and then relaxing with a nice beer. Then show me your ID. No. Then you're lying. Lady, I don't need to show you my ID unless you're a cop or an employee here. It has my private information on it. She huffs and looks around, possibly for an employer or someone else to back her up, but no one was around, so I just left. A few minutes later, I'm at checkout the self-scan, and guess who I see again? Entitled Mother. She glares at me again and watches as I scan the mirrors and then wait for the employee to clear me. When the employee walks up, Entitled Mother loudly says, "You better check his ID, he's underage." The employee just kind of looks dumbfounded. Miss, he works here. I know for a fact he's Entitled Mother goes quiet. She probably wasn't expecting that I did, in fact, work here. She scoffs and says, "Well, can't ever be too careful these days." Walks on. The employee and I have a laugh about it as she scans my ID and then I pay for my stuff. So, this entitled parent's kids apparently try to get high by sniffing poison. Those are some grade A genes you got there, lady. Our next Reddit post is from King B Man. I'm at the park with my daughter and girlfriend, helping her play on the slide. As cute kid is running around with a stranger's kid, playing with a fake gun and finger guns. Now, I'm trying to make it a personal habit to always carry my gun with me wherever I go. I fully conceal it as much as possible, but I'm guessing when I reached up to put my baby girl on the slide, it must have revealed it. Because next thing I know, I feel a tug at my shirt where my gun is, so I quickly turn around and look at the shoulders. "What's up, little buddy?" The cute kid says, "Let me see your gun. We're playing cowboys and he doesn't have one." He whistles. No, sorry, pal. No one can have this but me. It's dangerous. The cute kid looks angry, so he pretends to shoot me and runs off. Over? I hope, but no. Soon I hear a ahem. What? Why can't my kid play with your toy? What toy? The toy gun on your head. No, sorry. This is a real gun and it's dangerous. I proceed to check to make sure it's still hidden under my shirt, and it is. So just take the bullets out and let him play with it. How about you, Emma? She has a baffled look. Well, I never. what's the harm of him playing with it if it's unloaded? I'm sure you haven't. And because, believe it or not, I'm not letting a child play with an effing gun you have it. Don't you have someone else's business in mind? I'm going to call the police because you have a gun in a park. Go right ahead. It's a public place. She huffs and storms off, not to be heard from again. It was an annoying encounter that put a damper on my already sour day. So when the entitled mother says, "What's the harm of him playing with it if it's unloaded?" I'll tell you exactly
fuck yourself.
Let them figure it out on my own. Our next Reddit post is from Taken by Me. I've been reading this up for a while and never thought I would have something to post, but here I am. Last week, I was traveling for work. It had been a long 2 days of meetings, and I was exhausted. I had just arrived at the airport for my evening bus. The airline saying my flight was delayed 2 hours due to mechanical problems. I decided to pass the time by getting something to eat. I found an airport restaurant and sat down to order. I ordered my food and pulled my phone out of my bag to catch up on email and browse the web while waiting for my food to arrive. While I was waiting, a family with a mom, dad, little girl about 5 years old, and a middle school-age looking boy sat at a table near me. I didn't pay much attention as I was looking at email on my phone. But then I hear the little girl exclaim in a rather loud voice, "Look, Mom, the lady's on her phone at the table." I then hear the mother reply, "Yes, she shouldn't be doing that. It is rude to have a phone at the table." I glance over and the mother says to me, "We have a rule that no phones are allowed at the table." My first reaction was to say something snarky as exhaustion was definitely getting the better of me. But then I thought better of it and decided to be polite. I looked at the little girl and said, "We have the same rule in my home, but since I'm here alone, I'm not being rude to anybody." At this point, the sun looks like he wants to fall over the table from embarrassment. The dad looks at the mom and says, "It's okay, it's just work." I think that will be the end of it. The mom says, "Obviously you have a family, so you know how important it is to follow rules. I would appreciate it if you put away your phone." In a tone that apparently is for a petulant teen, the little girl chimes in and says, "Yeah, you have to put your phone away. I don't have its phone at the table, so you can't either." I look at the little girl and say, in as sweet as a tone as I can muster, "Well, the great thing about being a grown-up is that I can do whatever I want. So I'm going to keep looking at my phone and turn back to my email." The mother sighs loudly. The teen looks even more embarrassed, and the dad tries to get the mom to just order and leave me alone. The mom calls the waiter over and asks to be reseated. He grudgingly moves them to a different table. My food arrives, and I eat in peace, enjoying browsing Reddit. OP should have been like, "Well, in my family, we teach people not to stick their noses in other people's business." Clearly, Mommy isn't teaching you how to do that. Our next Reddit post is from Carter. So, a little backstory is important. I have 2 young adult children living at home, ages 18 and 19. They both work and go to college. I trust my kids. I trust their decision-making skills. When they graduated high school and turned 18, new rules went into place. No curfew. Just call me and let me know if you're going to be out all night, so I don't worry. You can call me at any time for a pickup. No questions asked. Just don't be stupid and drink and drive. Yes, your significant other can sleep over or come over for the weekend. Just let me know what's going on. Pay me a small rent during the summer when you're working full-time and pay your part of the car insurance. You have your chores and I have mine. We all work together. I tell them that if they're being buttholes and they listen, in turn, I listen to them. There is very little fighting or arguing in my house. This is their time to spread their wings and learn how to be a responsible adult and have me as a safety net. Lately, one of my kids' significant others has been spending a lot of time over at my house. He's here pretty much all the time. 2 days ago, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize and I answered it. It was my daughter's boyfriend's mother. Hello? You need to tell my kid he isn't allowed over your house anymore. Who is this? This is Tommy's mother. I already know where this is going. Oh, Tommy's mom. I have to say you raised a great kid. He is always polite and respectful. In fact, look, I don't care what you think about my kid. He is never at home. He isn't spending any time with me. Okay, there isn't much I can do about that. Yes, there is. Tell him he can't come over to your house anymore. I want him home. And you set a bad example for my son. Your daughter has no curfew, and I am sick and tired hearing how nice it is at your house. I miss him and want him home. Me speaking very slowly and basically growling into the phone. Are you done yelling at me? I think I stunned her into silence. I'll take that as a yes. Do you trust the way you raised your son? What? It's a simple question. Do you trust the way you raised your son? Of course I do. What does that have to do with anything? Do you trust him to make good decisions? Yes, of course. She's starting to calm down now. Mother to mother, I know things are not okay at your house right now. Her husband drinks a lot. I am trying to give your child a safe place when things are not okay at your house. She starts to cut me off at this point, but I won't let her. It's not your fault. He throws your son out for days at a time, doesn't he? Yes. I can hear her choking back the tears. Do you need someone to talk to? Would you want to go out to lunch? That way, you can feel safer knowing whose house your son is at and that he's safe. That would be okay. We were on the phone for about an hour after that. What started out as an entitled mother was just a scared woman feeling very, very alone. Sorry there wasn't any righteous retribution, but I think it turned out okay. I'm gonna try to get 19-year-old Tommy's curfew changed from 10 p.m. to midnight, and maybe he can stay over for a weekend. This post goes to show that maybe all entitled parents are just misunderstood, and deep down, they're good people. Nah. That was r/entitled parent, and I'm r. Welcome to r/pro event, where a clever student gets his nasty teacher fired. So this happened during senior year in high school 4 years ago. I had an English teacher named Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith, or how she liked to refer to herself, Dr. Smith, she didn't have a doctorate, was a mean old bat that hated anything and everything. She was ugly inside and out. To give a mental image of what she looked like, her face sagged so much it looked like she had a perpetual stroke. She had about 2 feet in between her eyebrows and her eyes. Imagine Ursula and Cruella de Vil had a child, and then that child had a baby with the devil. You get Mrs. Smith. None of the other English teachers liked her. There was nothing that they, nor the administration, could do due to her tenure. That is, until I became her student. Her teaching style included, but was not limited to, yelling at students, putting them down with petty insults, having us read to ourselves in the middle of class, kicking out students that were dozing off, then later fell asleep at her desk, not letting female students go to the restroom for very obvious reasons, and the occasional losing students' work, then accuse the students of not turning their work in. This last part is what crossed the line for me. You see, I wasn't a grade A student, and I sucked at English, so I always played my cards right and made friends with everyone, students and teachers included. So when I struggled and couldn't do something on my own, I let my charm save me and cash out on my months of being nice to everyone. However, no one could be friends with Mrs. Smith. I tried being polite. I was met with rudeness. I tried asking her how her morning was. I was met with silence and dead stares. I tried asking how I could improve my writing skills. She told me that she wasn't willing to help. Within the first week of class, I knew I'd met my match. So halfway through the semester, we're working on a big research paper. However, the day after the due date, Mrs. Smith had to go up to Illinois for some family issues for 2 weeks. Mind you, we turned in our papers both in hand and on Turnitin.com for plagiarism checking. No big. We won't get our grades back for a while, but at least we won't have to deal with her BS. Or so we thought. A few days after she gets back, only about half of the students got their papers back. The other half, including myself, were sitting there staring and waiting, thinking that she was going to go back to her desk and pull out the remaining papers to return to her students. But nope, she told us to take out our textbooks and start reading Beowulf. Some students, including myself that didn't receive their papers, tried to interject and inquire about our papers. And she snapped back with, "You should have turned them in when they were due." In unison, we responded, "We did." Of course, she denies it. And in a few days, our grades dropped immensely. At the end of the grading period, the second 6 weeks, our report card showed a big fat F for English. Everyone is livid. And the worst part is if you get anything below a C, you were to be moved to a lower level English at the end of the semester. Between the 0 from the paper that carried almost half of our grade and only a few weeks remaining in the semester, almost half of the class was doomed to fail out. Now, most of the students were happy with having to leave her class. There was not much they could do, but I was careful. Remember the teaching methods I mentioned above? Well, Mrs. Smith thought that because we were in a classroom that had no cameras, her behavior wasn't being recorded. She was dead wrong. From the second week on, I started recording audio on my phone every day from the moment I walked into the class to the moment I left. Every day. I caught every single one of her personal attacks of students on tape. When she fell asleep, I pulled out my phone and recorded her. My pleas for help to improve and her refusal to help weren't left out either. Every day, I would go home and cut the audio to keep the good parts. And every day, my collection of dirt on her grew. And remember how I said we used Turnitin as well as paper? I had coordinated with all the other students who were going to fail to screenshot all of their Turnitin receipts and send them to me as proof that they turned in their work. When she decided to fail me for her mistake, she unleashed heck on herself. I went straight to the administration and scheduled a parent-teacher admin conference. A week later, my parents, the principal, the school counselor, the head of the English department, and Mrs. Smith were all present. I started with how she had lost half of the class's work, and most of us failed because of it. She denied it, and again accused us of turning our work in late, as well as cheating and a bunch of other BS and lies. I remained calm and just pulled out a folder that contained all of the screenshots from my backpack and handed it to the principal, who then passed it to the head of the English department, who then asked Mrs. Smith to explain it. She instantly turned red in the face and started stuttering. Before she could get any words out, I say, "That's not all. Listen to this." I pull out my phone and start playing back the highlights from the semester. All the while, I'm staring dead into Mrs. Smith's eyes while trying to hold back a poo-eating grin. The suspense in the room would have killed Jason Statham. After the audio finished, the principal looked at me and said, "I think we've seen enough," and asked me to leave. I sat outside of the conference room, savoring the muffled yelling through the walls. I'm pretty sure I heard my dad utter the words, "filthy grunt," but I don't want to point fingers. The parent-teacher conference was on a Friday. I walked into class the following Monday to see
One of the
desk
seven.
and a substitute teacher we all recognized and loved. 10 out of 10 would document everything again. This reminds me of an earlier pro-revenge story I covered on my channel where a teacher was singling out a student and the student recorded all the nasty insults she gave. I don't know why older teachers think they can get away with abusing Generation Z people nowadays. Since everyone's got a smartphone, the odds of you being recorded are pretty high. And we have another contribution from the freaky child down in the comments. I had something similar happen to me in English class when I was in high school. The abridged version is that I was a committed underachiever and knew how the grading system worked. So I did exactly enough to maintain a passing grade, foregoing homework whenever possible. There was this midterm paper that we needed to write, and I figured out that I needed at least a B on it. I set to writing the best paper I could, hoping to get an A and make my other work a little less important. I turned in the paper, grading came back as an A-, and I forgot about it. At the end of the term, reporting came that I had a failing 55 to 60-ish point final grade. I knew that wasn't right. A parent-teacher conference happened, and the teacher said I had never turned in the paper. I produced the graded paper from my bag, with her handwriting indicating the A- grade. It's important to say that when administration asked for justification of my final grade, she pulled out this ancient grade book. As she flipped pages, multitudes of loose post-it notes were flying around, each with other students' names and grades on them. So she was obviously not using the actual pages of the grade book to record grades. It's no wonder she misplaced my grade. Their principal flat out told her to give me the grade that I had calculated, because I kept everything and demonstrated that I deserved a 75 passing grade in the class. She was no longer teaching after that term. Our next Reddit post is from Esau Sky. I had purchased my first home in a slightly lower class area, which is pretty close to an even lower
Fucking Megatron.
Think slightly ghetto, a mile from absolute trailer trash. I know most of my immediate neighbors, since most of them are pretty loud and I'd rather be friendly with them than with me. Some local kid likes to go around collecting trash in his free time. A real nice kid, does it for really no reason. Whenever I see him, I usually get him a drink, lemonade or soda, so he can stay hydrated. California is hot. Sometimes I give him a few dollars. I offer the kid $30 a month to mow my lawn twice a month. So kid has a game for a small but consistent income. The kid takes a lot of pride in his work. He mows the lawn, pulls weed, moves rocks out of the driveway, and just makes my place look extra nice. Even though I don't even ask him to do any extra work. This guy is great. This goes on for a few years. Kid is now a senior in high school. It's not great. Dad just lost his main source of income, and mom had accumulated debt which put a lot of stress on their family marriage. Mom was abusive verbally and sometimes physically to both the kid and the father. But the kid keeps on walking, doing work, volunteering, being a real happy, upbeat dude. Despite his troubles at home, the kid starts buying lawn decorations. Mostly small little gnomes, decorative rocks, and a bird bath. And he decorates my yard. It looks amazing. But I knew he must have spent a lot of his own money on that. I try to reimburse him and he denies. He won't take it. I know he needs a car, and I was about to get a newer one for myself, so I gave him mine for free. It really was the least I could do for this guy for everything he's done for me. A few weeks later...
Is your bike lunch?
Okay, Jack. USAA Bank has you covered. Don't sweat it, Sergeant. With no monthly service fees, we're saving a little extra. That means more for little dogs and things in practice. Find help at every turn. USAA Bank.
Hello everybody, I'm the Leatherwood, also known as Martin. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Fortnite. So, we need to destroy at least 3 stop dancing signs, or no dancing signs. So let's work from top to bottom, north to south, as we always do. Let's get started. First and foremost, over here at Junk Junction, very northern end of the map, from the top left corner, right here on the hill by the llama, you can see your first sign right about there. Next one, not actually too far away, if you go to Pleasant Park and then just go a little bit north of it, to where basically all of these zip lines all basically crash in. Remember the old station where you can find the ballers? Well, basically right here on the hill, you can find yourself another no dancing sign. So from Pleasant Park, come up this little walking spot onto the top, enjoy the view, and also destroy a sign. The next one, we're going to make our way over towards the middle base, interestingly enough, because two villains don't dance, they just destroy dance floors. So over here, this is obviously going to be southwest of Pleasant Park, or you can go to Snobby Shores and go a little bit, I guess, northeast of it. Inside the villa base, if you look right here, just where the missile used to be, there is another no dancing sign right about there. Kind of the place where I didn't expect to find one, honestly, and I really don't know how this mountain hasn't been repurposed since the old days, but apparently they just really enjoy doing the same bits. Other than that, we are now going to move our way into the snow biome. So the first one we want to go to is at the very top center of Polar Peak. So this is probably going to be the easiest trio for you to get, in all honesty. So I would say if you come to Polar Peak, and come right to the dead center on top of the hill. There's one right about there, right in the middle. So on the map, that's where you're going to be looking. And then from here, you can make your way down to Frosty Flights, basically not having to go down into Frosty Flights itself, but on the raised platform over here.
A few weeks later, a drunk driver T-bones the kid, and he dies on the scene. I was devastated. His parents were devastated, and they soon after got a divorce. They were fighting over who gets what, and the father discovers that the mother had a drug addiction she had been hiding, straight out of left field. She wants everything they had, and she lawyers up to fight the battle. Due to the debt the mother had accumulated on the father's bank account, he had really no money, and nobody knew where she got her money from. As sad as it is, it's not my affair. Until she sent me a letter claiming that the yard decorations are rightfully hers, and that she will take them or else. Now, this is a problem. I get it. You lost your only child. You're in a lot of pain as a parent, but you were never a good parent to him. I was closer to him than you, by a long shot. So I had a meeting with the father and told him not to worry about the court costs. I decided I was going to fund him in court. Long story short about their divorce battle, but he wins and gets to keep everything, and even gets a restraining order on her. He then files for credit card fraud and puts all the debt on her. I heard from the father that she was recently arrested for driving while drunk and was searched and had a decent stash of meth on her. She is currently awaiting trial for that, while the father is living a life now relatively stress-free. And I got to keep my lawn decorations. Rip, Jonathan, you are missed. How disgusting do you have to be to drive drunk after losing a child to drunk driving? I'm glad she's going to jail. The world is better off without people like this. Our next Reddit post is from Mansker. Many years ago, early 1980s, I worked for a company that did what I called mall molesting. They did market research surveys in a mall and were always stopping people to ask questions, etc. The company was run by 3 older women who had started it in their kitchen. They were opinionated and had no care about anything but money. Part of this included paying employees not by the hour, but by the survey, which was against labor rules as it never matched the basic hourly wage. This is important. Christmas came, and we were planning our employee party when one of the owners called us and told us that in order to avoid paying bonuses, we were to fire everyone at the party and then hire back the ones that we liked after the new year. We, the other managers and I, talked about it, and then I called the Federal Bureau of Labor, who had been trying to get the information for the employee pay for several years, but had always been turned away. I had them come to the back door and let them into the file room and showed them the boxes. I then said I had things to do in the front and would be back later, and went to the front desk to finish paperwork I needed. Said paperwork, a blow-up of Santa going down the chimney with Merry effing Christmas typed across it. All of the management resignations and the FedEx envelope that would hold our keys and said paperwork. Labor guy finished what he needed to do. We locked up, sent the package, which was timed to arrive at their Christmas party, and walked away. The company ended up spending about $250,000 in reimbursements and fines for the labor problem. Sounds like the U.S. Labor Department is making a list and checking it twice to see which employer has been naughty or nice. Our next Reddit post is from Atelier Viewpont. This story starts off with a Slightly less humorous fact. A few days ago, I was on the unfortunate end of credit card fraud. The fraudsters decided to take my credit card info and purchase $1,000 worth of car parts from Philly and have it sent across the border to the city I currently live in, Vancouver.